Broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas, it's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show, the show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 44 of the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show for October 2020. Tim, I like to call this the Halloween episode. So that's what we'll go with for today. But of course, my name is Jonathan. I'm the producer, director, and editor of the Arcade Repair Tips video series. And joining me today, as always, is Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself, Tim Pearson. Tim, how are you doing?
I'm fine. It's hard to believe that it's October already.
Oh,
and that we've been this many months in quarantine and everything else. I'm about ready for this year to be over with, though.
I am with you 100%. It just seems like things have been so crazy, Tim. I mean, you got to think, I was telling my wife, we were planning for some things the other day 6 months in advance. I was like, well, look 6 months backwards and see if you thought what was going to happen was going to happen. So, obviously, a lot of twists and turns, Tim. And it looks like you're in a laboratory tonight.
Yeah, I'm working from the main lab. I got my special projects I'm working on, and we'll talk about those later in the show.
There you go. Well, I like the background, Tim. I think it's something a little bit different. So hopefully all of you enjoy it as well. And Tim, we want to thank everybody for joining us tonight for this episode. Lots of chatter in the live chat room already. Louis kind of got some things started. We had a little bit of delay, guys. Just my wife was a little late getting home, so sorry about the delay, but we're good to go now. Should be good to go for the rest of the show. Looks like the real hammer Billy Lee is here, Tim, if you want to say hi to him.
Hey, Billy.
Andreas, Frelberg is here. Let's see, we got Wasteland Warrior says, when rebuilding water damage on the bottom of a cabinet, how do you join the new wood and the old wood together? You have any tips for him, Tim?
Well, there's probably some better YouTube videos, but, as long as it's not too high up, we generally just go ahead and Bondo all over everything. But if it's too high up, then we have to cut the bottom of the cabinet and add kind of a riser or an extension to it. And the same thing, we Bondo those holes or we laminate over the top of it so you don't see that crack. Or you could just paint over it, but you're going to have to use some good spackling and a lot of sanding. And
I was thinking our friend Jeff, who used to do the arcade body shop, he did like a flood restore of like a Pac-Man, right? Where he showed some of that as well.
That'd be a great thing to check out.
Absolutely. I don't think he's doing videos anymore, Tim, but that one was a particularly good one. So Arcade Body Shop and the Pac-Man Flood Restore, I think, is the one that you want to check out. So you may check that out, Wasteland Warrior, and see if that works for you. So, Tim, I'm getting old or this font is getting smaller. I don't know. It's one of the two. But anyway, I am able to see most of it. I do see that our moderator, Louis, is here. Louis, thanks for joining us as always. He's going to be making sure that you guys stay in line. Is that a good way to say it, Tim?
Well, he answers a lot of questions. Probably looking for that link right now. So we thank you for doing that, Louis.
Absolutely. So now, Tim, before we get started, we both had some pickups, very different, I would say, pickups. But why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about the pickup that you made recently?
Yeah, well, I've had a little extra time, and now that I'm finally getting in my new job's routine, of course, I'm always off in the week when you're working. But our good friend Mike Page and I have got together. We did a build, and then a guy contacted me about repairing a game. I quoted him an honest price, and I think he thought it was a little high, but I told him, I said, look, the parts are so much. I've got to make enough money to do it, or it'll sit in my garage and I won't do it because I need to make money on it. Eventually, he called me and said, because I also offered, I said, one thing you could do is instead, if you don't want to spend any money, let me buy it from you as is, and you'll make money. So I really didn't think I'd hear from him again. Finally, he called me, and he said, so this is a good way to buy games sometimes, guys. And he said, you know what, you're right. It's sitting here in my garage collecting dust, and I could have some money in my pocket and do something with it because I don't really want to spend a lot of money fixing it. And so then the next question was I kind of made a deal without looking at it. So I thought, man, I better ask this guy. He said it was a Miss Pac-Man game, but he didn't say whether it was dedicated. And as you guys know, when I think of Miss Pac-Man, I think of dedicated Miss Pac-Man, not, a MAME or a 60-1 or some converted game. But there's a ton of them out there. So he did send me some pictures, and they looked pretty good. So then I kind of got excited. And then when I went and saw it, come to find out, this game had been in his family since the early 90s and came out of a Dairy Queen not too far, probably about an hour's drive from us, Jonathan.
Well, before you go on, we should mention you work at Dairy Queen now.
That's right.
And I also have purchased some games that used to be in a Dairy Queen as well. Apparently, Dairy Queen put them all in a warehouse at some point and sold them off to some people. And the guy I bought a pinball machine and Asteroids, and what else did I buy off him? Oh, and a Pac-Man Cabaret. I bought those 3 had come out of that DQ warehouse, and apparently it sounds like this Miss Pac-Man did as well.
I think so. So we went to pick it up, and it's not working. It's got a board issue immediately. I knew it was not working. That's what he wanted it repaired. I think the monitor's also gonna need recapped and stuff, but first I got to get the board working. So I was pretty excited. I hadn't picked up a game in a while, and it was a good price. I offered him a fair price. It's no secret. The guys want to know kind of what I'd offer. I knew it was complete. And I knew it had some signs of life because Marquis would come on. That he told me the game would actually, you could hear it, which sounded like it was playing blind. But actually, after I picked it up, it wasn't playing blind. It was playing Scrabble screen. And so it does have some board issues and stuff. But I paid him $250 is what I picked it up for.
And I think that's fair for a complete non-working Mispack. I mean, to be honest with you, I think some guys would pay up to $300, maybe $350 for that, considering it is complete. I mean, and Tim, the pictures you sent, and I wish I would have posted them here in the outline, but the pictures you sent, it looks super clean inside there.
Yeah, you know, my personal Miss Pac-Man game, in fact, the artwork and stuff look better than mine, so we may have to do some swapping before it's all over.
Absolutely. Hey, you gotta make yours looking the best. Absolutely. So, and you know, it's hard to find good. Still, I mean, there probably are some artwork companies that make good Miss Pac-Man control panel overlays, but I'm still looking for a really nice Miss Pac-Man control panel overlay that doesn't have like the doubled up border, you know, that looks kind of funky. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there probably are some out there, but I need to do some research. It's been a while, but I need one of those for my Miss Pac-Man. But it sounds like you got a fantastic deal to me. I think $250. I'll pay that all day for non-working complete Miss Pac-Man in the cabinet condition it was in. So.
Right. That's what I thought. I did have to drive about an hour to pick it up. I would have paid more had he delivered it, of course. So overall, and I think the older I get, you know, we used to talk about those $10, $20, $50 fines. I'm really kind of like, after watching, you ever watch the show Pickers?
Oh, yeah.
I like to watch it because it's like they always feel better when they give a person a decent price. And like I told him, yeah, I'm going to fix it and I'm going to sell it for more, but I got to put some money and time into it, you know. So I thought he was happy and I was happy. One thing that I also would tell everybody, I did see that it was his grandpa ran a route and a little bit of emotional attachment. I've learned to cut those conversations pretty short, guys, because you don't want too much of the backstory because then it becomes harder and harder for them to let it go. But $250 in cash seemed to perk him up pretty good.
Like I said, I think it's a fair price for what you got, and I think he got a fair price, and you got a fair price for it. I mean, to be honest with you, if you've got a non-working game and you don't know how to work on it, it's kind of a boat anchor to you anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying about sometimes I get games like that. I'll quote them a price, and I'm not the cheapest guy in town, but I feel like I'm one of the best. So at the same time, I do it right. I know my games. I know, but it takes time. So I quit doing stuff really cheap. You and I both have been down that road before, Jonathan,
yep.
Trying to help people. So what I do is I tell them, look, this is what it would cost, or I can buy it, and you have money. And so it's kind of like, I know a lot of guys in the car business kind of do that. You know, it's either you get it fixed or they keep it and they sell it. So that's one way that you can get games is by advertising that you fix and repair games. Another game I saw I thought was too much. It was $750. It was a Pac-Man with a Miss Pac-Man inside of it. And I told him the opposite. I said, look, that one needs a board repair. It should cost you around 100 and something bucks. I would keep it and convert it back to Pac-Man. And the more I talked to him, I kind of talked him out of selling it. and I'll probably pick up some repair work there. But I didn't make them an offer because I knew we would be too far apart.
Absolutely. And, that's, Tim, some people don't realize what they have. Now, if you've got a fully working machine, but it's in rough shape, sometimes people think that goes for the eBay price, even though it's not fully restored, and that's not the case. Sometimes people think a broken machine goes for an eBay price, and obviously that's not the case either. So, it's just managing expectations for people. So, like, letting them know up front, I've seen a lot of arcade games, and what you have here is worth about this much, and I'm willing to pay you, fairly for it based on the condition it's in. But I'm not gonna pay you $800 for a non-working Miss Pac-Man.
No, and that's what I told Mike on the way over there. I said the reason why I didn't offer even more is because just because he said this about it, he's not a repair person, or he'd already fixed it. And I've already said that not only do I got to get the board repaired, I know I'm going to have to do some monitor work. So you really can't tell what's going on with the monitor until you get the board fixed. But I can tell by just some things about it and knowing things about it. But at the same time, that's why I told him, anytime a non-working game, treat it like everything in the world is wrong. Because even though I'm going to fix the board, then I'm going to fix the monitor, it still may have a power issue or something else. When we've been burned before like that, right, Jonathan, seeing a non-working game, my classic example was the one I bid on at auction, then got home and found out, that's why it's not working. It doesn't have any computer in it. It had a tube, didn't have a chassis. It ended up I think we ended up parting it out or something because. And
that game was an Arctic Thunder. Yeah, it had no chassis, no computer, nothing in it. So.
Right. It did have the seat, and we used the seat to scroll or move stuff around the shop sometimes.
And it had a tube and a seat and a cabinet. That's basically what you had. Maybe some wiring was in there. I can't remember.
Maybe, but, we bought it at auction. Of course, we couldn't see the inside. So from then on, we learned to treat non-working games like everything is wrong with them.
Absolutely.
And then it's just a fuse or hope it's something else, but don't count on it.
Absolutely, Tim. Well, it sounds like you got a great pickup on that Miss Pac-Man. Now, my find is a little bit different, Tim. I picked up an Arcade 1-Up. And so, now, typically, I would not pick up these things used. I've got several of them, but the lady only wanted $40 for it. It's a Street Fighter 2 one, and it is sort of working. Is that a way to say it? It's like the menu system's not working, but you can boot into the game, which is really interesting. But I think it's going to be my candidate for modding one. I've been wanting to mod one, and I had an Asteroids in the box that was going to be the candidate for that. But obviously, the Asteroids doesn't have the 6-button layout, 2-player layout that I like, and so the Street Fighter 2 does. And since I only got this one for $40, I think it's going to become a mod candidate. So.
Well, that'll be an interesting project. And what kind of are you going to go with a Raspberry Pi or Pandora box?
I haven't decided. I may go Pandora just because it's easy. But I mean, Raspberry Pi is not that much difficult, especially with all the images out there now. I mean, you basically flash a card and you're good to go. So I don't know which way I'm going to go, but we'll just see. I mean, I feel like if you're gonna sell it, like Pandora's box is the way to go, because that way it's just like, it is what it is, right? But if I end up keeping it, I may go Raspberry Pi. So we'll figure that out. But I did buy the control panel is pretty worn, Tim, as you can imagine. Like people who didn't get the free deck protectors when they were offering them, man, the control panel is just worn to pieces. So I did order a new little underlay and a new control deck protector for it. So it should be coming soon. So that'll be kind of the first part of it, and then we'll see what we want to mod from there. So, but for $40, it was hard to pass up, Tim. And right after I picked it up, about 10 other people commented that they wanted it. So I felt like it was obviously something that was going to go pretty quick. So it was nice to scoop that up, and like I said, now I have something I can play with. So. But anyway, so Tim, let me go ahead and go to some of the live chat here. Delusionals Arcade is here, Tim, if you want to say hi.
Hello.
He also says that Joe Sasbo makes a perfect Miss Pac-Man overlay, so I may have to look into Joe's stuff. And he also says, love your shirt, Jonathan. Cool, thank you. Yeah, this is a made in the 80s, referencing the Super Mario 3 cover, Tim. I remember getting this for my birthday. And I remember going to the movie theater to see The Wizard, which was a huge deal at the time. And I don't know how long it's been since you've seen that movie. I try to watch it like once a year, but I really like The Wizard. So let's see. Rexer Shows here. He says put a Pi 4 in the arcade 1-Up. I may do that because, like I said, it's with all the images out there and everything, Tim, it's pretty easy to set one up now, and so we may go Pi 4 with that. Let's see. Oh, Razor Show said new joysticks and that went up. Yeah, I was actually surprised. So I played Street Fighter on it. I was actually surprised, Tim, the joysticks still work. Because considering the way this control panel looks, I mean, it looks like the control panel, like they beat on it horribly. I'm surprised that the joysticks register at all. But they actually, all the controls work. But like Razor Show said, they're not worth much. The quality of the controls is pretty poor. So we're going to end up replacing those for sure. Let's see. Scott wants to know, what's a good price for a Moon Patrol machine, Tim?
Gosh, I haven't bought a Moon Patrol in a long time. I would say if it's dedicated and 100% working, you're probably looking at $700-800 now, maybe up to $1,200. Somebody in the chat room can correct me if they've actually purchased or seen one sell. They're getting so rare. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for $1,500 or more.
Absolutely, haven't seen too many of those lately. It seems like, and it seems like Williams games as a whole, Tim, are very collectible, and so people tend to scoop them up and not resell them. So it's been a while since I've seen a Moon Patrol out there. $700-800 for a fully restored one would not surprise me one bit. Obviously, if you get one that's working in rough shape, you may be able to get it for less than that. But for fully restored, I think you're right on the money, Tim, and maybe higher, just depending on what area you're in, because I mean, in some places, obviously, prices kind of go up from there. So, I think what you got is pretty good. But if the live chat has any other ideas on price for Moon Patrol, we'd like to hear it too, right, Tim?
Yeah.
So there we go. Okay, Tim, I think we are caught up with the live chat for this evening. And Tim, before we get started into our questions, though, I did want to say that we recently commissioned a Halloween logo to be made of the Arcade Repair Tips logo, just because, it's, like I said, this is kind of the Halloween show, right? So we want to have a little fun, guys, and so we got with somebody, and he did 3 different ones for us. And Tim, one of them won based on all of the input from the staff, and so I'm going to go ahead and put that up here now, and you guys can see it. So this is going to be on our some of our social media pages very soon, but it's got Arcade Repair Tips Tim and kind of like the Polybus style font, and then it's got a little pumpkin there and some tools as well. But we want to thank Josh Neels for designing that for us. And if you need some work, some design work done, you can contact him at bumpinthump05@yahoo.com. And Tim, I put his email address down below. But I thought he did a really good job on this. Tim, I think I got outvoted. I actually liked one of the other ones that he did, but it seemed like everybody else liked this one, and I liked this one. I liked the other one a bit more, but I still think he did a great job on all of these. So we want to thank Josh for doing that. And like I said, if you have any design needs for your business or your YouTube channel or your podcast, contact him at bumpinthump05@yahoo.com. And again, it's in the show notes as well. Tim, what do you think of the Halloween logo?
Oh, I think it's pretty cool. That was my favorite offhand. I got my glasses on. I'm trying to zoom in a little bit. It looks like it's a wrench.
A wrench and a screwdriver, it looks like.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Instead of like carving tools, that's kind of what I was thinking. And I thought he did a great job.
Absolutely.
Contact him about some artwork I need.
There you go. Well, I thought he did good on all 3 of the logos they sent over. I like this one. I like the other one just a little bit more because I thought it was kind of funny. But this one is going to be the official one. So we may use the other 2 at some other point in the future, Tim. You never know. So, but thanks, Josh, for taking care of that. And again, you guys contact him if you have any design needs. He'll hook you up. Well, Tim, let's go ahead and get into our questions. Now, again, we have a follow-up, Tim, before we get into questions from a previous episode. And so let's go ahead and throw that up here. And this follow-up is from Sean. And Tim, you may remember he had a question about ground trees and how, and ground distribution blocks in particular. In particular, you may remember that. So he says, hello, thank you for the help on the ground tree conundrum. This is a gutted cabinet that has a Captain America board I pulled out. Just wondering what kind of cabinet it is and what could have gone in it originally. There's no marquee. Was it a trivia machine or something someone threw a fighter in? Just curious, Sean. So Tim, we have a lot of arcade experts in the live chat tonight, I know. So I'm going to throw these pictures up here and we're going to see what everybody thinks this used to be. Now, Tim, you can see these on the outline. Right. What is your best guess? Now, he said, could it have been a trivia machine of some sort? I'm thinking yes, probably. But what are your thoughts besides trivia machine?
Well, I'm thinking that somebody actually cut a cabinet down and kind of made this. That's my guess. Because it has the speakers in the front and the control panel. I think what they probably had a location, or they just liked it better at that angle and stuff. which wouldn't be hard to do. But it could be a trivia machine.
Yeah, and I've seen the trivia machines like that. In fact, we're about to show a picture of one. I'm leaving this picture up here so everybody in the live chat can get a really good look at it. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, sorry, you're going to have to check out the YouTube video to see what the cabinet looks like. But, Tim, it basically does look like somebody cut the top of this cabinet off, which is very common because a lot of times operators would have problems getting cabinets through doors. And so in order to get a cabinet through the door, instead of leaning it back like we would normally do, Tim, they would just lop the top of it off and then take the router bit and do a new little groove for the T-molding and then just run the T-molding right up the side. And so it's not uncommon to see this. We've seen it with a lot of different cabinets, Tim, where they they physically cut off part of the cabinet. But Tim, it could very well be a trivia machine as well. So I'm going to go ahead and throw up kind of our thoughts or some of my thoughts on here so people can see. Sean, yes, it does look like it could have been a quiz/trivia cabinet at some point during its life. It is not uncommon for operators to convert cabinets to play other games, especially if they pick up one cheap at an arcade auction or through other means. With that said, it is also possible that it is a standard arcade cabinet that an operator cut the top off of in order to make it easier to move, fit into a location better, or for various other reasons. The only electronic parts that are in the head of a cabinet, Tim, are the marquee light, right?
Right.
Sometimes speakers, but we know that this cabinet has the speakers down in the cabinet, so that's not a problem with this one. So you don't have to worry about that since it does have the cabinet speakers on the front. So basically, the marquee light's the only thing you'd have to worry about in this guy. But Tim, the fact that it has the speakers in the front makes me think that this cabinet was designed to look like this, and so it probably was not lopped off. I'm imagining because, like I said, the vast majority of arcade cabinets we've seen have the speakers in the marquee head instead of on the cabinet itself. So, any other thoughts for Sean?
No, that's exactly what I was thinking. The speakers kind of make me think it probably was a dedicated cabinet of some sort.
Absolutely. So, Sean, hopefully that helps you with the follow-up. And Timmy actually sent in an additional question about a different cabinet. So we're going to go ahead and go to that now. He says, I bought an Ikari Warriors 2, which pretty sure is a Dogo Soken, which I hope my Japanese is good, Tim. I'm not sure. Dogo Soken. Okay.
I'm reading that one.
There you go. On account, it yells at me in Japanese, which requires joystick repair. Unfortunately, the joysticks are not the correct ones for this game. Do they make reproduction Ikari Warriors, Heavy Barrel, etc. type rotary joysticks now? What would be my options? Addicted to the site and the show. They're wonderful. God bless you guys. Very nice, Tim, to get such kind words from Sean here. But Tim, he's got a pretty good issue here in the fact that he has an Ikari Warriors, which is known for the rotary joysticks, Tim, and he cannot find them anywhere. So, Tim, do you have any sources for the Snk Ls 30 rotary joysticks? Because it seems like those are hard to come by. I wouldn't say unobtainium per se, but let's say when you find them, they're not cheap. So.
Yeah, and I literally thought that there were reproduction ones out there, but I know you researched it a lot, and we really couldn't find any that are currently, unless there's some in production we're not aware of. So somebody knows, because you could buy them there for a while and you couldn't. And I know that Hap offered a version one time, but they don't sell them anymore. We can't find it anymore. There is a kind of a hack that you can do, and I think that you're going to show a link to that. I've never done that, but it's getting kind of desperation on these. Maybe somebody should take that over, or project over. Any entrepreneurs in the chat room tonight want a good project, because that is a real need out there for this type of joystick. They do pop up online, like on eBay and stuff, but they usually command a pretty good price. And, one time we probably had a dozen of them, and now we don't have any. So if somebody needed one for here local, if I was repairing one, I would be in the same boat right now.
Tim, it was one of those things. If we bought a cabinet at an auction and it had them on them, a lot of times we took them off and we would change the game out with something else. And so, because those games just really didn't earn well at the time that we were running our routes. And so a lot of times we would change those cabinets over to other things. We'd throw those joysticks into a bin somewhere. And, who knows where that bin is now, kind of thing, And I mean, we sold off so many of our parts that, I mean, I doubt we have any anymore. And they are harder to come by now for sure. But, excuse me, Tim, these are the this SNK Ls 30 rotary joysticks that we're talking about here. And like you mentioned, Suzo Hap used to have replacements that you could buy. But Tim, I think now that you just don't see these games out anymore, there was no reason for Suzo Hap to continue to produce them. It's probably expensive to produce them, and they're probably not selling a whole bunch of them. So it's kind of like one of those things, why spend the money to do production if we're not going to sell any? And so I really do think that's probably what happened. Now, Tim, you mentioned that you can mod the board to use some standard joysticks. I'm going to talk about that here in a second. But you can also hack joysticks with like an optical sensor that detects the rotation, which we've seen that before. There's some people who have done that, but that really is a hack in my opinion, Tim. You know, I mean, you're basically making something that wasn't really supposed to do what it does do what it's supposed to do. And so there's a little hackery that goes on with that, but it's the same way with the board as well. So, you know, but, and it looks like, Louis posted a link on eBay. I'm not sure how much those are that he linked to. So I'm not sure how expensive they are, Tim, but we could not find a place that was reproducing them. You know, there were a lot of sellers on like eBay and stuff that were selling, you know, used ones, obviously, but not a whole lot of people who were selling reproduction ones. And so with that in mind, Sean, your best bet may be either to mod the board or to mod a joystick to do the optical sensing. So let's go ahead and show our slide here, Tim. We'll talk about it a little bit. So games like Ikari Warriors and Heavy Barrel originally came with the Snk Ls 30 rotary joysticks installed. These joysticks have become hard to find in recent years. They will pop up on eBay every so often, like Louis linked to, but they usually command a high price. Suzo Hap offered their own version at one time, but it's no longer available on their website. Now, Tim, you may be able to call Suzo Hap. They may have some backstock somewhere that we don't know about, and so if that's the case, we can, you know, you can call them up, say, hey, I'm really desperate for a rotary joystick. Do you guys have any more? And see what they can do. I'm not making any promises if you call them that they'll have it, but it's something that you can do, and it may be worth a shot. Now, some operators have modified the either the joysticks, Tim, with an optical sensor, like standard joysticks with an optical sensor to do it, or have physically modified the game board to use 8-way joysticks so that they don't have to spend so much on the LS30 style joysticks. And Tim, there's a mod remember RGVAC? Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so RGVAC, there was actually a mod that somebody talks about on a standard Ikari Warriors where you can basically mod the board to do just an 8-way joystick, and so that is something. Louis mentions Ultimark, but I think the Ultimark version only works with PCs, Tim. I'm not sure that it works with standard arcade boards. I could be wrong, Louis. So you may, if you have a moment, you may look and see if it would work with an arcade board. But Ultimark does produce a version for $49, like a little kit that you can get that will make your joystick a rotary style. But I'm not sure if that's going to work on a standard arcade board or if that's just going to work on a PC. Because Tim, we're very familiar with Ultimark, as you know, and most of the time Ultimark makes things for PCs. And so, not to say that their stuff doesn't work as well on standard arcade boards as well. It's just most of the time they make PC stuff. So if that does work, you could check out Ultimark and see if that would work. But I wasn't for sure, and I didn't want to list that, Louis. But if you could do some more research on that, that'd be great. But Tim, for the most part, outside of maybe the Ultimark stick, that would be the closest thing to a reproduction that we have. But is there anything else for Sean? I mean, any other places that you think that Sean could go to that he may be able to find one of these? Hey, who's our buddy who has all the used arcade parts, Tim? Chris Monroe.
Oh, yeah.
You could contact Chris Monroe. He's probably got some in a warehouse somewhere, I'd imagine. So, but I don't know. I don't think he has a website, Tim. And since there haven't been any expos, he probably hasn't been selling a whole lot of parts lately, I'd imagine.
Probably not.
So, but Chris Monroe is a guy who, he actually bought out a lot of our stuff, Tim, when we kind of closed up our warehouse. He buys out just bulk lots of parts and then sells them at these conventions and things. But Tim, if anybody was going to have one, I'd put my money on him.
I would too. Probably eBay is going to be his best bet, though, and just going to have to, you know, keep an eye out on a search for them.
Now, Louis does say that he thinks that, he says, my bad, you're correct. So I assume that he thinks that's also just for PC and it's not for standard arcade boards. But Tim, this looks like an opportunity for somebody if they wanted to build a compatible Snk Ls 30 joystick. They may have some business. So there we go. So, Tim, I think we'll move on. But, Sean, hopefully that answers your question, and good luck. Now, Tim, the fact that he did say that his cabinet had the wrong joysticks could mean that the board that he has already been set up for standard joysticks. So that'd be something to check first, Sean, to make sure that your board isn't already configured to work with Standard Joysticks, because it is, then you may be able to do it. Delusional's Arcade says you can also check Arcade Boneyard, the Arcade Boneyard website, which may also have it as well. Yes. So, and it looks like Louis also has some of the Quarter Arcade. There's some links in the live chat. So, Sean, if you're watching this back, check out the live chat and see if any of those links work for you. So, hopefully that helps, Sean, and good luck finding some LS30 joysticks for your Victory Road Akari Warriors 2 arcade cabinet. Okay, Tim, let's go back here. YouTube Punk is here. You can say hi to him.
Oh, hey.
So then we got, YouTube Punk says, Dell beat me here, I'm slipping. So there you go. Always fun. It looks like that's all, and the rest of them are just talking about the LS30 joysticks that we talked about. And YouTube Punk says he sent a donation in, Tim, via PayPal. So, yay, thank you, YouTube Punk. We are always appreciative of donations. Guys, remember, you can also donate by clicking the little dollar sign in the live chat if you're joining us live tonight, or by going to arcaderepairtips.com/donate. You can donate there as well. And, Tim, we are appreciative of all donations, and just know that they go to support us and all of the great work that we do. I wouldn't call it great. All of the work that we do. How about that?
Right, that.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not going to put the qualifier great. We'll take that off. In fact, I may use an S word instead. I'll just let you. I'll let you insert your own S word there. So, yeah. Super is the one I was meaning. Just so you know. But anyway,
Okay.
That's right. You knew exactly what I meant, right, Tim?
I did.
Exactly. So, okay, guys.
We don't get sued for saying anything good. We just do, but we do a lot of work. We can't say that much.
There you go. Exactly. So, anyway, so thank you for all your donations. They are highly appreciated. Tim, I think we're caught up with everybody, so let us continue on with James. And James says, "Hi, so I'm having an issue with my cabinet. The screen isn't working at all when the power is on, but the sound is fine. It's currently set up using a JAMA harness as far as I know, and I'm thinking one of two things. Either the tube is completely done or the chassis has failed. I don't know much about it, to be honest. I just picked it up and figured, how hard can it be, right? Totally wrong, LOL. But my question is this: how do I determine why the screen isn't turning on? What test can I do to determine if it's the display or something else on the chassis causing the issue? Any information would be much appreciated." So, Tim, we've got James here. It sounds like he's got a very classic case of something we like to call playing blind, correct?
That's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, so he says that he can hear the sound, and you know, for those of you who are joining us for the first time tonight, playing blind is when you can hear the game playing, but you don't see anything on your screen. Tim, usually indicative of a monitor issue, correct?
Most of the time. Every once in a while it might be a tube or something, but it's really pretty rare. Most of the time, but sometimes it's something simple as just a connection to the monitor has come undone, or it's not getting power, or or the what am I going to say? The connector going from the video could just be off, or a pin out, or something, or unhooked. So sometimes just looking at that and checking some things. A lot of times it's not very detailed, but then it also could be, as in the video that we shot, everything in the world that could go wrong with your chassis.
Well, anything in the high voltage section that could go wrong with your chassis, right?
Exactly. So, it's a good thing to watch that video, because one of the videos I'm most proud of, because we get so many questions like this. And to believe it or not, guys, I remember a lot of things, but the older I get, I don't have Alzheimer's, but I definitely have some timers. I've even watched my own video for some of the stuff that we did or checked. And that's a very good video to watch if you're having this issue. I think that will help him a lot.
And Tim, we should mention that there's an extended cut of this video, I think on the Volume 4 DVD. And guys, there's something about this video that I think we may have talked about in the past, but if we haven't, I want to bring it up again, in the fact that, I really thought that the hot was going to fix it. I had not ordered a flyback for this chassis when we did that video, and so there's a part when we get the arcing off the flyback, there's a part where Tim goes and and now we're gonna replace the flyback and we'll see you real soon, and we finished shooting that, and I thought, okay, well, we're gonna have to stop and order a flyback, and then lo and behold, we had some working flybacks in all of our parts chassis that we had just up on the shelf. And so in the extended cut of the video, you actually see us pull the flyback off of a parts chassis to install on this chassis so we could get it working, but that was not in the plan. That was something that just kind of happened organically. And luckily, Tim had a parts chassis that had a working flyback on it. So we got really lucky with that.
Yeah, we did.
So, but the extended cut of the video, Tim, obviously is longer and has some of the great stuff like that in it. And if you don't have our Volume 4 DVD that has that on it, you're missing out because it really does give a lot more detail than what the YouTube version does. The YouTube gives you the basics, but we go into a lot more detail on the extended cut of that video. So, again, if you don't have our Volume 4 DVD, you can get it at our store, arcaderepairtips.com/store, and get you a copy of it. It's really, really great. So, but yeah, Tim, I mean, here, he's kind of a novice. Tim, just based on the way he kind of phrased the question, and he kind of tells us up front that he's never really worked on games before. So one of the things, you're mentioning is like checking the power getting to the monitor, like checking it at the connector. I think that's a great place for James to start because it'll also get him somewhat familiar with using a multimeter, which if he isn't already familiar with that, he probably needs to be, right?
Yeah.
So probably a good idea to maybe go with a multimeter and check that the monitor is getting voltage before you move on to the chassis itself. Tim did mention, though, that most of the times when we have this problem, it is a chassis problem, not a tube problem. So, Tim, with all that in mind, I'm just going to go ahead and move to the slide. From your description, it sounds like your cabinet is experiencing a classic case of playing blind. This is almost always caused by an issue with the monitor. With that said, it is important that you make sure that the monitor is getting the correct voltage from the cabinet. Use a multimeter to check that this is the case, Tim. Yeah, and you can check the voltage getting to the monitor, Tim, very easily. You just basically, you can, a lot of times, Tim, you can even unplug the monitor from the power supply, put your prongs inside of the connector for the monitor, and then just put your multimeter on AC check, and you should get a voltage there. If you get good voltage to your monitor, then we know that the problem is in your monitor somewhere. And so at that point, you can move on to the chassis. And like we mentioned here, if the input voltage is good, it's time to move to the monitor itself. While it's possible that's a bad tube, it's most of the time caused by an issue in the high voltage section of your chassis. And like Tim and I both mentioned, check out our post on troubleshooting games that are playing blind for more information. Tim, is there anything else you want to say to James here before we move on?
No, I think that video will help him tremendously, though, so he needs to watch that one.
Sounds good. So, James, hopefully that answers your question. Good luck getting your monitor going, and make sure you check out our video and post on troubleshooting games that are playing blind for more help with your issue. So, Louis says, shameless promotion, post Volume 4 DVD, and he puts a link to it for us, Tim. So, thank you, Louis. You're the man. So, Louis is the man. So, now, Tim, we have the Michael's Minute video coming up now. And
hey,
before I read it, I do want to say this. I only send the ones to Michael that we can't figure out. So poor Michael has to do the ones that are the hardest of the hard, it seems like. And so, Tim, this one, we got the video and the guy sent it in, and Dan already said that he was going to be watching tonight at some point. So, Dan, if you're watching this, this was a pretty tough one, to be honest with you. And so, like, I looked at it and I'm like, Michael. And so Michael basically got a pretty tough one. And Tim, Michael, we've exchanged some emails since he sent me this, and he's still trying to figure out exactly what's going on with this. So
okay.
With that in mind, let me go ahead and read the question, and we'll move from there. So this is a question from Dan. He said, I recently purchased a Qbert, and the Wells Gardner K4900 monitor was having some horizontal issues. I just replaced my existing chassis with a fully capped one, and it's doing the exact same thing as before. Please help. Thank you, Dan. So, Tim, just to give you the lowdown here for Dan, okay, before I play Michael's video. So, he has a Qbert he bought, okay, and you saw how it's kind of got that little wave off to the side, right?
Like, got a Qbert can slide down that long slide over there.
Exactly. So, he's got that. So, it was doing it on one chassis, and then he recaps another chassis, the exact K4900 chassis, swaps them out, still doing it.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, so with that in mind, let us go to our resident monitor expert, Michael, and see what he has to say. Here we go, Tim.
Hey everyone, Michael back with another Michael's Minute. This month we have Dan. Dan has a Qbert machine he said he's having some horizontal problems with. Dan sent a video in, and Dan also said he replaced the existing chassis with one that was just newly capped, and the problem stayed the same, which is pretty odd. I took a look at the video, and really it's hard to say if it's a horizontal problem or a vertical problem. The first reaction I would do was probably just adjust the vertical size and see if the problem stays the same or if it changes any. Second, on those K4900 chassis, there's two different versions. When you order a cap kit, sometimes that comes into play of which cap kit you need. For instance, 308, C308 is a 2.2 or a 3.3 microfarad cap, depending on which version you have. I had a bowling alley contract when I had my shop, and all their overhead displays had K4900s, and half of them were the version that took the 3.3, and half of them were the version that took the 2.2. And if I ever got them mixed up, I had this similar issue. So I would look there and see which value he has in his chassis, and whichever one he has, try replacing it with the other and see if that helps the problem in any way. Also, I don't know if this is a 60-in-1 board or not, but if so, I know K4900s have an issue sometimes with different manufacturers of the 60-in-1s, and sometimes there's some mods you have to do, I believe, and tail some jumpers to make them work right with the 60-in-1 board. Other than that, especially with the problem going over two different chassis like that, the only thing that else I believe it could be would be the tube, if it's the wrong tube size for the chassis. I have seen that. It's kind of rare, but that's all I have for now. I'm real curious to see what's going, if that would help him, and I'd love to hear an update and see what else we can do to get him going. But take care, everybody. I'll see y'all next month.
Okay, so that was Michael, guys, and he gave some really good ideas for the things that we can do as far as as far as Dan's problem is concerned. But I'm going to go ahead and just summarize what he said in the video so people can see. So, like he mentioned, it's kind of hard to say if it's a horizontal or vertical problem. I know Dan says it's more of a horizontal problem, but Tim, it's kind of hard to tell just with the way that it's moving. And that was Michael's point. So he says you might try adjusting the vertical size, perhaps the hold as well, and see if the problem stays the same or changes. And he also says make sure that you're using the right cap kit for your K4900 chassis, Tim. And I remembered this, but I did not... I remembered it now that Michael said it, but when I got the question, I had no idea. But there are two different versions of the K4900 chassis. There's one that uses the 2.2 microfarad at C308, and there's one that uses the 3.3 microfarad at C308. And so if you swap those, like if you have a version that uses a 2.2 and you put the 3.3 in, it can cause that issue apparently, or vice versa. So you do want to make sure that you've got the right caps for your version of the K4900. And Tim, Michael should know, because like he mentioned in the video, he actually worked for a bowling alley repairing their monitors, and all their monitors were K4900s. So he's got a lot of experience with the K4900. Now he says, other than that, it's possible that your tube is the wrong size for the chassis. That's another thing he mentions. Very strange that the issue occurs regardless of chassis. You might try installing them on a different tube to see if it makes a difference. Wasteland Warrior says, I was thinking the yoke too. Could be a yoke issue, a bad yoke. I mean, go ahead, Tim.
That was my guess, that it was because of yoke issue.
Yeah, so, but again, kind of related to the tube too, right? So here's the deal. If it's not in the chassis, Tim, it's got to be in the tube, right? You don't have a whole lot of options here. And the fact that we're having the same problem with two different chassis makes us think that it is more of a tube issue, unless you have two, like maybe you have two of the same version K4900 that both have the wrong cap in C308. You could have something like that, but that seems rare compared to maybe having a tube issue. And so it is possible that the yoke is having an issue, the tube itself is having an issue, and you may just need to replace the tube, Dan. And so that's one of the things that I added on the end, is try both those chassis on a different tube and see if they work well. Tim, do you have anything to add besides what Michael gave us here?
No, I think Michael... I've never even seen that issue with two different ones. That's why we gave it to him.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why Michael got it.
For that earlier statement.
Exactly. So, sorry, Michael, you get the tough ones. I know he's watching, so even if it's after the fact. But, yeah, that was a tough one. And like I said, we've exchanged some emails after he sent me this, Tim, and it's still bugging him. Michael is the kind of guy that he will continue to think about this until he figures out what's going on. So, Dan, if you have any updates or if you figure out how to fix this, please let us know so poor Michael can get some sleep. So, because I do think he's probably working on it in his head. Like he'll probably wake up at like 4 a.m. and have the answer, Tim, I'd imagine. Okay. So. And so, but Dan, hopefully answers your question. And like I say, just keep us updated. Try some of the things that Michael mentioned and see how that goes from there. And if you do end up fixing it, please let us know so we can not only relay that to Michael, but also share it with the rest of our audience. So, Okay, Tim, let's see what we got here next. And people in the live chat were saying yoke. Very possible it could be a yoke issue here, and you may just need to. I wouldn't say they're saying the yoke could be twisted. I guess it's possible you could try kind of physically adjusting the yoke to see if it makes a difference in it. That may be something. Of course, you're going to do that. Be careful, but it may be worth a shot, especially if you've exhausted all your other options. So. Okay, Tim, well, we move from one Michael to another. So here is another Michael, but this one has a question instead of giving us an answer. Good afternoon. I have a Pac-Man cocktail arcade. It worked fine up until last night. It sat overnight under a blanket in the middle bed of my truck. Temperatures were 45 degrees, and now the monitor won't come on. Any ideas what's going on with it? Now, Tim, if you didn't guess, this is where we got the title for this month's live show, Putting the Pac-Man to Bed. So this is what Michael did, is he put his Pac-Man to bed, his truck bed, with a blanket on top, tucked it in real nice, Tim, but it got a little cold, and so now it won't come on at all. So what happened to Michael's Pac-Man cocktail cabinet? Did he just not tuck it in enough, Tim? Did he need more blankets on top? I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I know he's not in Texas because we haven't seen 45 degrees since about February. But, yeah, I mean, it sounds like he did everything okay. The fact that he said in a tailgate or in a truck bed, which means he moved it.
Right.
That probably is more of the problem. As we said, every time you move a game, they're going to break, right?
Right.
It seems that way. You just move them from one side to another, and you're having an issue. Probably I'm hoping it's a simple fix. More than likely, his neck board had come loose, or bad connector, or something. So start off by checking all the wiring to the cabinet, make sure everything is connected properly. Now, it is also, too, that the interlock switches could be are shuffled around or not engaged, or the door's not shut. That could be part of the problem, but I doubt the weather hurt it that much, that kind of temperature. Now, it was negative 45, and he didn't have enough blankets on there or something, I can understand it. But 45 degrees with a blanket around it shouldn't affect that kind of effect at all. I think it's more from the moving of the game. Of course, he could have a cold or broken solder joint and just need to touch all that up. We've talked about that before, but my guess is that something probably came loose in the moving of the game. I just recently moved a couple cocktails in my truck, and I can tell you, those things are getting heavier the older I get, and my truck bed is pretty high, so we, getting them on and off of there, we did quite a bit of shaking and of everything of the cocktails that we picked up. I definitely had to check some of my wiring.
Absolutely. I mean, anytime you move games, Tim, we know. I mean, if you move them, it's things come unplugged, things happen, and so. And Tim, I think the fact that it was 45 degrees, that's not necessarily cold, but it is cool. Can maybe mess with some solder joints and connectors a bit. And so the fact that it was a little cooler, there may have been a solder joint that was making a good connection in the warmer weather, and then all of a sudden when it got a little colder, that solder joint cracked just enough to maybe miss the connection. And so I think that's a great, another great place to look. So Tim, let's go ahead and show the slide here and get some stuff here from Michael. The fact that the monitor was working one day and stopped the next makes us think that's probably a simple fix. Start off this repair by checking the wiring in the cabinet to make sure everything is connected properly. Check the fuses and the interlock switches and that the monitor is getting the correct voltage. And Tim, I put a picture of an interlock switch here on the outline because I don't know how many times we've seen interlock switches. It's like we can't get the game to come on. It was coming on fine, and then boom, it was an interlock switch that was not pulled or something to that effect. The Asteroids I got that I was talking about earlier from Dairy Queen, Tim, had kind of a faulty interlock switch on it that somebody had screwed to where it was always pushed in, but every so often it would kind of jostle loose. And so, you have stuff like that, Tim, in a lot of cabinets. So make sure you check your interlock switches and that they're either depressed or pulled out, and that they're, and that electricity is flowing through them. Very important. So, and then if all that checks out, then the problem could be with like a monitor chassis. We wouldn't be surprised to find some cracked, cold, and or broken solder joints on the monitor chassis, considering how cold the temperature was when you left it outside. So take your chassis out, touch up the solder joints as needed. Check all your voltages, Tim, like we mentioned, connections, voltages, and all that kind of stuff. And Tim, I think if he does all that, he'll probably be in good shape. I'm sure one of those things will probably get it working.
Right.
So, any other things for Michael here before we move on? And I have a picture here. I don't know if everybody can see it, but it actually shows some cracked solder joints on that little circuit board there. But anything else here, Tim, for Michael before we move on?
No, I think we're good there.
Sounds good. So, Michael, hopefully that answers your question. And like we just said, just check some wiring in there. Check some solder joints if the wiring and the voltages and everything check out. And let us know how it goes from there and if you have any more issues with your cocktail. Okay, Tim, we have a question in the live chat from Joe Flores. He says, Stern's Berserk original bat-style joysticks. Was that a bad design joystick? What do you think?
What game?
Berserk.
Berserk? Oh, I don't know. I like them okay. It's kind of whatever you're used to.
Right.
We saw world record being broke on one time, and he didn't ever complain about them. So
that's true. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. So
they don't bother me, but I'm open to other people's opinions on that. But they seem to hold up pretty good.
Yeah, I think they're pretty sensitive though to dust and dirt, if I remember correctly, and so like it wouldn't take much to for them to stop working. That was pretty much the biggest issue with them. But when they were working, they work well. I think that's the biggest thing. So, Tim, we also we also have one from Seahorses at Night or All Night, and he says, I have a RoboCop problem. When RoboCop shoots a criminal, children come out of their mom's basements and try to burn my house down. Okay, obviously, I think that's a little bit of a joke there, Tim.
Okay.
So there you go. But anyway, hey, we like the comedy too, right, Tim?
Yeah.
So there you go.
It took me a second to get it though.
Yeah, exactly. You got to get to the point quickly, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, Tim, I think we are. Oh, somebody says, or Andre says, Monroe Joystick is the GOAT. So I like Monroe Joysticks. I always think of Gyrus, right?
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's see here. Okay, I think we're caught up. We're caught up. Good. So I'm going to go ahead and move on with the outline here. And Tim, we have a question from John. And John says, hello, gentlemen. I am currently restoring a Street Fighter II cabinet and decided to buy a new marquee light from Twisted Quarter. However, the connection was different. So I decided to splice the new fixture with the old connector. The old connector has 2 white wires and 1 black. The new fixture has 1 black and 1 red. I feel I've wired almost every way and it still manages to pop a breaker in my house. I've included a few pictures. Thank you so much, John. So Tim, here's some pictures of the connectors that John was talking about here. So, and as you can see, he's got the 2 wires, and then he's got the 3-pin connector that he's got. So he thinks he's wired it every which way, but he just can't figure out exactly how it's supposed to go. So what advice do you have for John as far as getting this marquee light hooked up in a Street Fighter II game?
Well, I went to twistedquarter.com, and it looks like he doesn't say, but I would almost bet what he bought was an LED light that only uses 5 or 12 volts. And what's happening is no matter how he's hooked it up right, he's running 120 volt AC to a 5 volt light. It's getting a lot of feedback and coming back and blowing a breaker. That is my guess. The fact the color wires too, and you only have 2 of them, I think that it's either a 12 volt or a 5 volt LED light, DC voltage, compared to the 120 like it's coming out of there. So he really needs to just run separate wires to his power supply and the correct voltage up there. I would be surprised if there wasn't some kind of schematics or something. If it is a DC light, it should tell you that on there somewhere, on the bulbs, or I just put an LED light inside of a game marquee. It looks so much better. And it did run on 120, but it had its own little transformer. It actually had a plug, so I knew it was 120 because it plugged in the wall. But you got to be careful. A lot of these doesn't take that much voltage to run one, especially these LED lights. So that's my guess. Other than that, he's got a problem somewhere else, I would think. It's not just his light.
Yeah, and I think you're right, Tim. Voltage is a key thing to check here. So John needs to make sure that the voltage coming from his power supply matches the voltage of the light. That's basically what you're saying. I mean, so if you ordered a DC marquee light and he's getting AC voltage, it's not going to work no matter what he does, correct?
Yeah.
as far as that goes. Now, he could hook up those lines maybe to the switching power supply and send the voltage up that way if he wanted to. And so he could do that, but he needs to double check and make sure that the voltage that's going to his marquee light is the correct voltage for that light that he ordered from Twisted Quarter. And Tim, like you said, it shouldn't be hard because, I mean, even if you're just hooking up things, randomly like he was, I mean, it's going to work in some combination. You only have so many wires, and the fact that he keeps kind of breaking or tripping a breaker every time he hooks it up makes us think that he's probably got the wrong voltage for the input voltage he's getting, correct?
Yeah, I'd almost guarantee it.
There we go.
Especially color wires, and after looking at their site, that's what they sell, a 12-volt light.
Okay, so there you go. So let's go ahead and show this real quick here. And so start off this repair by making sure that the wires coming from the cabinet power supply are sending the correct voltage for your marquee light. Most marquee lights run off of standard AC voltage, 120 volts, but some do use DC voltage. Most 12 volts DC, but sometimes 5 volts DC. And will usually include a power brick. Remember, don't trust the wire color, trust your meter, right, Tim?
Yeah.
So there you go. But if the voltage is incorrect, you will need to relocate the marquee light wires to a different part of your power supply. For example, you may need to move the wires from the AC distribution block to the 12-volt DC and ground prongs on your switching power supply. So, Tim, even if it's a DC voltage light that he ordered, he's not necessarily out of luck here. He could still swap those wires to the power supply instead of going to or to the switching power supply instead of coming straight from the AC distribution block if he wanted to, and then he should get the correct voltage up to his marquee light, correct?
Correct.
So there you go. So anyway, so John, hopefully that answers your question. Again, let's just check those voltages, make sure that they're correct, and then from there we'll send the correct voltage for the light that you need. And like I said, so if it's a DC light, make sure that you're sending DC voltage up to it. So hopefully I answered your question, and good luck with your repair. Okay, Tim, we just got $20 from Delusional's Arcade. Thank you, Delusional. We appreciate it. He says, keep up the good work, guys. Stay safe out there, and remember to pay it forward. Absolutely. So, Tim, we try our best to pay it forward always. And Tim, during this hard time, we support a lot of arcades with some of the extra funds that we've gotten and things like that as well. So, Tim, there's still a lot of arcades out there hurting. So, if you have the means to, make sure that you're ordering products or services or things from your local arcade places. Tim, they still need a lot of help. There's still a lot of them that are shut down.
Yeah.
So, and then let's see what else we got here. Wasteland Warrior says, I ordered a spare Dragon Slayer 2 PCB that will play on a track screen and then freeze up. What would cause that? Tim, I will confess I am not a big Laserdisc repair guy. Do you have any experience with Dragon Slayer 2 and why it would freeze up on the attract mode? Perhaps it's having problems getting the data from the Laserdisc?
Yeah, it's more than likely he's having a Laserdisc issue with it. So
there you go. So, yeah, that's the only thing that I can think of is maybe an access on the Laserdisc, but... he said, I just, let's see, is that the same one? No, that's different. So, yeah, that's the only thing I can think of, too, is there's something wrong with the interface between the Laserdisc and the PCB itself. And Tim, again, I am not familiar enough with that game to know for sure what that would be, but there may be something in the interfacing between those two that's having an issue. If it's a spare one, so I assume he's got another one that's working. So obviously there's something in the communication line on that PCB that's probably causing the issue. And so, you could try to put a monitor between the Laserdisc and the PCB to see, if the data is the same coming through both. But it does sound like more of a communication issue with the Laserdisc than anything, so... let's see what else we got. Andres says, I just did a recap and replaced a flyback on a K7000. Picture looks crisp, but very dim dark. Adjusting all the pots and cranking the flyback up does not fix the issue. Do I need a rejuvenation?
Yeah, probably so if you don't have your flyback's not going out.
There you go. So somebody says, YouTube Punk says R.I.P. Grinkers, which I guess is an arcade maybe that they went to, Tim. It sounds like they may have gone under. Guys, there's a lot of arcades that have not made it and are not going to make it just because of all the shutdown orders. And so, we just want to, like I said, support them in any way that you can. Try to keep them around because otherwise you won't have a cool arcade to go to when all this stuff lets up. So, okay, are we caught up? Okay, looks like we're caught up, Tim, so let us continue on. Now, Tim, it looks like we're at the end of our questions here, so we've got our rapid-fire YouTube questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so here are the 3 that we have for this month. Manuel says, my Pac-Man is not working. The screen is glitching. I need help. Scanline City says, does the flyback replacement need to be specific to the monitor chassis? And Burmy Game says, where can I buy some white potentiometers? I tried to find and can't find the name or where to buy them. The only normal ones I can find are blue in color. So Tim, we got 3 here. We have Manuel, who's having issues with his Pac-Man, Scanline City, who wonders if the flyback has to match the chassis, and Burmy Games, who wants to buy some white potentiometers instead of the blue ones that are pretty much everywhere now, it seems like. So Tim, let's start with Manuel here. He's got a Pac-Man. It's glitching on the screen. What can he do to fix this issue?
Well, he can do what we do. We go to the troubleshooting Pac-Man page on Mike's Arcade, and he shows some pictures and stuff, and tell him what one to replace. I also have been seeing some ads on on eBay for people that are doing repairs for $69 or $75. You almost can't beat that, and we got some people on our page that do those. But if he wants to try it himself, he can go to Mike's Arcade and look at their Pac-Man his trouble guides and stuff, and look at those pictures.
And I'll go ahead and throw out a plug for Lawnmower Man's page as well, Tim, which is, I think, on the Rotary blog site. But that also has a lot of great Pac-Man repair information. I put both links below in the show notes. So
I think most of his on there credits it to that.
Yeah. So now, Tim, we also had Scanline City. He's wondering if the flyback has to match the chassis or if he can just use any flyback.
No, it has to match.
It has to match, that's right. And then Burmy Games wonders, where are all the white potentiometers? Where did they go?
Yeah, I don't know, but the color really doesn't matter, as long as the value is the same.
Exactly. And you see, so, I mean, that's the thing. And Tim, it seems like even on new control boards and things, we see more of the blue than we do the white now. By far.
That's true.
And I think, it actually makes it easier to see for me.
Me too. I like the blue ones better.
Exactly. I understand if you have a matching issue. But, Tim, that's why we used to keep around junk chassis, right? So you could always just pull one from a junk chassis and then you've got matching. But, I mean, in the scheme of things, it doesn't matter. As long as the value of the pot's the same, it doesn't matter what color it is, right?
Nope.
So there you go. So let us go ahead and continue here to summarize everything that Tim said. Manuel, what does the glitching look like? You can check out the pictures on the Pac-Man troubleshooting page on Mike's Arcade, like Tim mentioned, and we have the links down below in the show notes for you to check that out. Scanline City, yes, the flyback has to match the make and model of your chassis if you intend to install it on. Make sure you identify the chassis before you order. And then Burmy Games, doesn't matter what the physical color of the pot is, as long as the value of it is the same as the one you are replacing, right? Right. So there you go. So pretty rapid fire there, Tim. I like the blue ones, like I mentioned. I would rather have a blue one. I think you can see it easier. So, but it's just me, maybe. I don't know. You said it too, though, right?
Yeah, I do like the blue ones better.
There you go. So, okay, well, sounds good. Tim, I think we're done with the questions as far as our outline is concerned for this month. Now, Tim, we have a tech tip, kind of a tech tip. Basically, you're going to tell us about something you worked on and have now completed. And, Tim, how long did it take you to build this? I'm just curious.
A little over a month,
okay.
Probably. Working 1 or 2, 3 or 4 hours a week.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and throw up the pictures of it here, so you can tell everybody about it. I'm just going to leave them up while you talk. So.
Yeah, we actually had a guy approach us, and he had seen it somewhere before. We're not the only person that's ever done this, but he wanted a refrigerator put inside of a multi-case. And that's what we did. We took the coin box out, we ripped all the guts out, and started over, and we put a refrigerator down inside of there. The number one question that we get asked is, where are the cup holders? Which cup holders are a dime a dozen. You could screw 2 in there, but the next time I build one, I'm already looked at having some cup holders. So we thought that it turned out pretty good. You might notice the front, we used that kind of plastic type rough board, and we cut it and around there and just kind of hid some of the artwork. He actually wanted it plain and black like that. Some of this was his request. Didn't want a marquee overlay, a control panel overlay on it. But I kind of liked it. It gave it a different definitely a guy kind of game feel. And but the main thing was I thought it came out okay, but when we took it, he was so ecstatic. He posted pictures on Facebook, and he is the head salesman at a big car dealership here. So he told us, I'm going to sell some more of these things for you guys. I think they're awesome. And we've already started working on, from scratch, building the cabinet and everything, a cocktail cabinet that will have a refrigerator in it and cup holders that you hit and kind of pull out like a car. You pull them out and they'll have cup holders there. Just kind of a twist to the games that we've been doing. Different people have different wants and needs. And this seems to, I liked it, to be honest. I got to use it for a couple of weeks. That's actually some of my beverages down in the bottom right corner. And we really got them cold. It was nice to sit there and play the game and take a drink and have the refrigerator right there. Anyway, I'd like to maybe get some of you guys' opinions. One thing that I want to do is possibly get some arcade lettering that kind of looks icy. Maybe anybody that's good at doing that type of artwork has the time, they should contact me. Because we're probably going to build several of these, it looks like. And the cocktail one, I think, is really going to be neat. Again, no cabinets harmed in the making of that. We're building them all from scratch. And, we pick the wood out of Home Depot and stuff, MDF, and make ours. So we're not going to destroy any games. We're just going to build some unique ones like this one. Like to get your guys' opinion.
So Seahorses All Night says, awesome build. My Pac-Man has a Snk Ls machine in it.
Oh, that's cool.
So YouTube Funk says, can Tim install Pac-Man into my French door fridge?
I probably could do that.
Yeah, so, I think you could too. So I think it looks really good. And Tim, you mentioned that you used it for a while. You got to fix the game and play the game, right? Or build the game and play the game in this particular instance. So. Yeah, you got to test to make sure the refrigerator's working. If it ain't getting things cold, it's not worth it, right?
No, it worked out really good.
Yeah.
Works good.
Looks great. Looks really nice, and I think you guys did a good job on it. Standard 60-in-1 with an LCD monitor in there, right?
Yes, LCD from Holland Computers. Most of the controls came from Holland Computers. I think we got the control panel from Twisted Quarter. I can't remember who we got the artwork from. I think my friend Mike picked that up. And I will say this, that we like that front panel a lot. One of the cocktails, we're not going to paint it. We're actually going to have it sprayed on bed liner like a truck. The next one's going to have a lot of chrome and some stainless steel and stuff. And it's going to have that rugged truck bed spray liner on it. We're going to see how that comes out. Really give it a guy's toolbox kind of feel.
Sounds good. Well, I think it looks great, Tim, and I don't know how much you paid for it, but I'm sure you gave him a good deal. So.
Yeah, this was a prototype. I think the next one we'll have to charge a little bit more. It was a lot. This one converting was tough. Building from scratch should be a little easier.
Absolutely. So, well, Tim, is a cool project, and I think it gives some people just an idea of, some other things you can do with your arcade cabinet besides just play the game, right? And play the game and cold drinks too. So, I still say you need to build one with a tap in it, so I can hook up my keg. Okay. I'm just saying. So. There we go. So anyway, but cool build, guys. Good job, Tim, on that. And, we look forward to looking at some other projects very soon. So it looks like we have a question from Micah here, Tim. He says, I've just bought a Super Sprint arcade machine. Everything works, but the monitor is washed out and the red is missing. Any ideas for fixing, guys? Thanks. Now, Tim, a lot of times when the screen looks washed out, if you're missing a color, that can make it look washed out, correct?
Right.
So
yeah, it could be the red drive, the pot, could be the transistor that's associated with that. Could be a red drive. Red gun on your tube is having a short, or just the red wire coming from your game board could not be plugged in good, or making a good contact, or a cold solder joint there. But yeah, when you're missing a color, it really is going to make it look kind of washed out a lot of times.
Yeah, and we have our video on checking a tube, Tim checking a monitor tube that Micah should probably check out, that actually talks about the color drive transistors. But it could also be that your red wire from your game board is not making a good connection to the chassis, Tim. How many times have we seen that?
A lot. for some reason, usually the red one.
Exactly. So you may just look at the input wiring as well coming from your game board. Make sure that's making a good connection to the input pins, and make sure those pins are have a good soldered connection, because those solder connections tend to crack more than any other solder connection on a Monder chassis. So Andre says, how about a tapper with a tap in it? I'd love that. I love Tapper.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
Tapper's a great game. They're too expensive for me to buy one. That's the problem. So, okay, Tim. Well, we're getting to the discussion portion of the show tonight, and Tim, we've got kind of a our arcade discussion for tonight. Kind of centers around something that came up over the past month, and so let's go ahead and show some of these stories here, Tim. And this is from Reason.com. And are video arcades more dangerous than casinos during a pandemic? And so casinos and video arcades pose similar risk of COVID-19 transmission, yet in Massachusetts, casinos have remained or have been open for 2 months while video arcades remain closed. Like many of the distinctions drawn by the COVID-19 lockdowns, this one makes no medical sense. A federal lawsuit filed by BitBar, a Salem arcade and restaurant, argues that Governor Baker's discrimination against video arcades is unconstitutional because it is scientifically indefensible. Okay, and so that was the first story that we posted, Tim. So, but the second part of that was that shortly after that lawsuit came about, there was an update saying that arcades can reopen in Massachusetts next week. And so Governor Baker has signed an executive order to allow arcades, and Tim, this is from Boston.com, to allow arcades to reopen. Baker said that after looking at the surrounding states that had successfully reopened arcades, he determined that Massachusetts would be able to do the same based on the residents doing their part to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The announcement came just 1 week after BitBar, a Salem arcade and restaurant, filed a lawsuit against Baker, arguing that the governor was violating its First and 14th Amendment rights. So, Tim, here's the deal. So here's our discussion part. Why have so many states allowed casinos to open back but have kept arcades closed? And Tim, Massachusetts is a great example of that. Obviously, they have now kind of switched positions on this. But Tim, why do casinos get to open and arcades don't? Would you like to lay that out for our audience real quick?
Well, it's real simple. It's called politics, John, and I think that if it had been 1985 or 83 or 82, 81, it would have been the opposite. The arcades would have all been open. They would have had lobbyists and people. There's just not as much money in arcades as there is in casinos right now, and that's where the money talks. You see, though, as soon as they threaten a lawsuit, what big surprise, all of a sudden they're going to change their tune. But it's really no different. What's the difference in sitting in a restaurant and going to Walmart? How did Walmart, you're allowed to go in there, and, before we even knew what social distancing was, it was crazy busy in there, and they didn't have to shut down. Why? Well, they pay a lot of taxes and they got a lot of lobbyists. So, I'm glad, though, that they were able to open, but it really did seem unfair in general. Even the bars and stuff, the barcades and stuff, they're still struggling, even here in Texas. I just don't know how you can say, well, one place is safe and another place is unsafe,
Exactly. I mean, especially when they both involve pretty much touching things that have a very specific style of coin-operated amusement, right? I mean, casinos are still coin-operated a lot of times, even if they're, like I said, even if they pay you back, whereas arcades don't. But Tim, what it really comes down to, you said politics, it comes down to money. Casinos have money, and money talks. So, casinos pay politicians, casinos pay lots in taxes, casinos generate a lot of revenue for the state, and because they do, guess what? They get to open. And so arcades, though, were being discriminated against, I believe unfairly, because they did not have they do not generate that kind of revenue for the state, and therefore they were not allowed to open. And I really do think that they were being discriminated against in the Massachusetts case, as well as in any state where there's casinos open but arcades aren't allowed to open. And so hopefully all of the states where casinos are open, they're going to allow arcades to open as well, especially after this. And I will say good on BitBar for bringing that lawsuit, because Tim, I do think that it was very good on their part, because otherwise they would have probably had to continue to stay closed.
I agree.
So, and that's really rough. So, it just, Tim, this COVID thing is so crazy, right? I mean, just like in all of the regulations and things and how all that stuff worked. I mean, because there for a while, like we had family entertainment centers were open, but they couldn't open the arcade portions here in Texas. Remember that?
I do, and that didn't make any sense at all.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's just there's so many things that are just kind of weird and wacky. And I don't know where everybody is tonight, but there are a lot of states, Tim, that are not open at all still. So
Yeah, that's almost hard to believe. We're 75% in our restaurant now. We don't even have signs up anymore. A lot of people wear masks or they don't wear masks. We don't police it or ask them anymore to wear one. At some point, either we're all going to die or we're all going to move on. I don't know which one it is right now. I don't belittle that there are severe cases and that there is COVID. I believe is real. But same thing. It's just like my doctor called me. Johnny said, we need to schedule your flu shot. And I said, well, I won't need one this year. He said, why? I said, because I've been wearing my mask every day. I shouldn't catch the flu, right? He said, well, that doesn't guarantee that you're not going to catch it. And I said, well, then why am I wearing it? Because it's irritating me. So I don't know. The debate will probably go on for a while. And I really don't know the answer either. We're not doctors. We don't know. But we do know that it's hurt our industry horribly. And I don't know, if the big guys are struggling and may not recover, I can't imagine what it's doing to some of those smaller guys.
And, Tim, there's been reports that Dave & Buster's may have to file bankruptcy. I don't know if you've heard that. But there's been some talk about that. I will say this, though. They're not going down without a fight, Tim. I don't know if you've checked their social media accounts out lately, but they have been upping the game. They're like, we are not going down without a fight. I want to applaud them on that, especially as a stockholder. I want to applaud them on that. So, and as a bag holder, I guess right now, but still, I do. I mean, hopefully they can make it. But like you said, Chuck E. Cheese, Dave & Buster's are struggling. What chance do mom and pop shops have against this?
Right. And Disney laid off 28,000 employees also. So I don't think we've seen the full economic consequences from all of this, even if everything was open tomorrow. I can know the numbers that Chucky and Gaddy's and people like that are doing compared to last year. And when I was a business owner, John, we did more than that, and we struggled. Right. So I don't know how they can make it.
Well, I mean, I know that a lot of businesses are leaning heavily on these PPP loans. And Tim, in hindsight, it really does seem like you should have gotten one. I mean, regardless of whether or not you needed it, because I think this thing has gone on a little bit longer than some would have guessed. And so that money has hopefully kept a lot of businesses afloat. But I don't know how long that money's going to last, Tim. And who knows if they're going to have to pay that money back, which is another issue as well.
Or if they even can financially pay it back.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's going to be, there's just so many financial unknowns at this point, Tim, which makes the stock market kind of hard to play sometimes. But, there's always, I think there's always going to be, there's always going to be arcades. The question is, which ones are going to survive this? Are some going to come out stronger? Are some going to die off? And then once we get back to normal, where there'll be new companies created, I'm not exactly sure how that's going to look, because it seems like we're still a long ways off from back to normal.
I think so.
So let me go over to the live chat though, real quick, Tim, and we have Seahorses All Night says, "I'm going to the arcade. No COVID yet," so he's going. He's okay. Let's see. Rexer Show says our arcade has been open for a while. The Pinball Hall of Fame in Vegas, and they just shut off every other machine, so you get the correct spacing. Let's see. Micah says, "Just take me back to the 1980s, Aladdin's Castle, and I'll be happy." That's always good. He said, YouTube Punk says the wrong people got those PPP loans. A bunch of cronies who don't need it. I mean, here's the deal. That's true in some cases, Tim, but I know some businesses that really, really needed it. It wasn't just cronies who got that YouTube Punk. And I know it's easy to look at it and say, well, all these people just ripped off the system. But there were some businesses, Tim, I personally know business owners who got those loans and that desperately needed it. My across the street neighbor, Tim, is a dentist. And, he was suffering there for months because he couldn't see patients. He got one of the PPP loans, and it kept him from obviously, having to lay off more people than he thought he'd have to. One of the schools that my kids attend, they got a PPP loan so they could continue to keep their teachers employed while they weren't at school, basically, while they were doing virtual learning and stuff like that. Because a lot of people, in April and May, and this is a pre-K school, Tim, but a lot of people in April and May stopped paying because their kids weren't going. And so, well, they still had to pay teachers even though your kid's not going, you know? And so those PPP loans went to those teachers who desperately needed it. And so, YouTube Punk, I know there's a lot of people who got them who did not deserve them, but I do think there were a lot of businesses who got them who truly did deserve them. So, I mean, but Tim, anytime you've got people handing out free money, there's going to be people who take advantage of it, right?
Okay.
And it just is what it is. You can't get around that. So, but I want to believe that for every person who took advantage of it who didn't need it, there were at least, 3 to 4 more who actually needed it. So, and Tim, that's totally off topic, except for the fact that I wouldn't be surprised if Dave & Buster's and Chuck E. Cheese got those loans, Tim, because it does seem like they needed it.
Yes, I did.
So, and you mentioned Mr. Gaddy's obviously too, but I mean, Mr. Gaddy's is a franchise, Tim, so that's a small business. I mean, even though from the outside looking in, it may look like a big business, it's really a mom and pop shop, right?
Right.
So that's something you have to remember. So just because it's a name you recognize, like Mr. Gaddy's, for instance, doesn't necessarily mean that it's this big corporation that can weather that storm, because when you're a franchisee, Tim, you really are a small business person.
Yeah, just like Dairy Queen could have a one-store franchise too,
Right. So, I mean, so just because you recognize the name on the building or you think it's a big corporation doesn't necessarily mean that that's a big corporation. And it could still be a mom and pop shop behind the scenes, especially for franchisees. So, but just it's tough, guys. And if you can do anything at all to, like we mentioned earlier, Tim, to support the arcades around you. And I saw that YouTube Punk mentioned that the arcade around him closed because the landlord would not negotiate. And guys, I know that's tough sounding, like, man, landlords just suck, right? But here's the deal. Landlords have to live too. And they depend on the income that's coming from their rent in order to live. And so sometimes they don't have the luxury of not being able to charge people for rent. And I know that's tough, Tim, but it's kind of life too, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you all landlords are great, but, a lot of landlords do depend on that rent in order to survive. And so if you're not making money and they're not getting paid, then they're not, they can't eat and you can't eat. And it's tough for everybody. And they may have to kick people out in order to find a tenant who can pay so that they can continue to live, to eat and to live too. So. But it's tough. It's just tough all the way around, Tim. And so, just thoughts and prayers going out to all of the arcade owners out there and arcade companies that are still trying to weather this storm. Because, Tim, I don't even think it doesn't look like we're getting back to normal anytime soon. And until we do, I just don't know how the entertainment side of the arcade business is going to survive. So, any other thoughts, Tim, before we move on?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Let's see what else we got here. I'm just looking in the thing. YouTube Punk says he always wears a mask. We highly encourage mask wearing, Tim. You and me wear them whenever I'm out and about. When I'm at work, I'm in an office with only about 4 other people, and we all have our own individual offices, so I do not wear a mask until I go into another part of another building at my work, and then I'll wear a mask to whatever other part I'm going to. It's kind of my thing. If I'm out and about, if I'm going to any other stores or anything, I'm going to have my mask on pretty much all the time. But we do highly encourage people to wear masks wherever they're going. Let's see. YouTube Punk says, right, but they were legit. But more mom and pop should have gotten those loans. I agree. And Tim, I think the second wave of loans helped out a lot of people who couldn't get in on the first wave. A lot of people don't realize there were the 2 waves of loans that went out. And so I know people who got in on both. And so there were some business owners that the money ran out before they could get it the first time, and they were able to reapply the second time and get it. Tim, we mentioned, I think the Game Preserve may have gotten one of those. I'm not for sure. Don't quote me on that, but I think that they may have gotten one as well. But Tim, it's tough because, I mean, a lot of these arcades just don't have money coming in. And so those PPP loans, I mean, a lot of people who didn't take them may now be regretting that because they still don't have the income. They're still not back to where they were before and not even close. So. Okay, and YouTube Punk says, I miss my Aladdin's Castle. Don't we all, Tim? So, don't we all? So, and on that note, Tim, why not just build an Aladdin's Castle in your house? And Tim, I don't know if you saw, but ICE is coming out with their own home-focused arcade product line now. Probably to compete or in combination with Arcade 1-Up, since Arcade 1-Ups have been so successful, right?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and show this. Now, Tim, of course, you know ICE. You're very intimately involved with ICE in the past through their games. Name some of the games that people may be familiar with that ICE makes.
Cyclone would be one of their games. NBA Hoops. Let's see.
Ice ball, right?
Yeah, like ice
Skee ball.
Of course, it's their version of skee ball. This is a separate company, but gosh, there's a lot of ice games. I'm looking. They make the Super Chex game. A lot of people
Bubble
like.
hockey.
Yeah, the bubble hockey one. Let's see. I'm trying to think of some of their more popular games. They make a lot of soccer games and stuff. They make a lot. You go to Chuck E. Cheese, probably 25% of their games are ICE.
There you go. So let's talk about ICE, Tim. And ICE is launching a new home-focused arcade product line called Arcade Pro, Tim. And this is from our friends at Arcade Heroes, Adam specifically, and so I want to give him credit for this. But taking a page from Arcade 1-Up, ICE is launching a new lineup of arcade pieces just for the home. These are smaller, non-coin versions of existing games that will be perfect for a man cave or game room. Per an image on their new website, homearcadegames.com, they will be offering some ICE staples such as Super Chex Pro, a home version of collegiate hoops, and a home version of their Ice Ball Alley Bowler. The lineup is officially christened as Arcade Pro. Now, Tim, what do you think about ICE getting into the home market now?
Well, I like it because I thought of more games. Now, they have a lot of sports games like the NBA hoops, the 2-minute drill with the football, the baseball strike zone, the one you actually throw the ball at. So a lot of those games would be, especially the miniature versions that they're making. I just went to their website. It looks like it's not up and going yet. So that was lucky to get these pictures, whoever got those.
Yeah, it was up the other day when I went. They may have taken it down in order to put up some more information. So.
Yeah, I got some inside people there. I'll have to find out.
There you go. Yeah, if you can get us some inside information, we're all about it.
And people just staying home and not going to the arcade, a way for them to, can imagine that they're not selling any new games. Chuck E. Cheese is definitely not buying games, and I doubt Dave & Buster's is right now either. Some of the big arcades are if you're not you can't open, you're not buying anything new. So again, that's hurting our friends at ICE and other game manufacturers too. So that's just what they're trying to do to keep up with the time.
And it does seem like more people are buying home products. Tim, I think a lot of people did not go on vacation and instead bought pinball machines and arcade games instead. I think we've seen an uptick in the home market just because of that. I think Arcade 1-Up has had an uptick since all this stuff hit because, people still like the arcade experience even if they can't go to an arcade, right?
I believe that's
yeah,
true.
So, Tim, it doesn't sound like ICE is necessarily competing with Arcade 1-Up. It's more that they're selling maybe pieces that will complement an Arcade 1-Up setup, correct?
Yeah, so just targeting home game rooms, like why people are still staying at home.
Exactly. So, but hopefully, we'll get the chance to see some of these things and try them out, Tim. I'm kind of curious. And if you've got any inside information on it, please let us know. So. And Tim, this is a story I think that Louis posted about GameStop. So GameStop had said that they were going to close 400 stores, I think, but now they're adding another 100 stores to that. And Tim, that seems odd considering that the video game market has been way up since all the COVID-19 stuff hit. But for some reason, GameStop just can't get, I guess, their footing underneath them, even with the uptick in sales. So it says here...
Well, sales are coming directly online. People are buying direct and downloading it. They're not actually going to the store and buying a hard copy.
Well, but trying to find like a Nintendo Switch right now, Tim, is near impossible. So, they're selling out quickly, it seems like. So, you'd think that GameStop, being one of the premier providers for video game consoles, would be in on that revenue. So, maybe not, though. Like you said, maybe it's more about online purchasing. GameStop has a nice website, though, Tim, so you think that people would be going there. But anyway, GameStop is closing about 100 more stores than it originally planned, with the struggling retailer warning of more closures next year. The company said in an earnings call that between 400 and 450 stores globally will close this year, which is more than the 320 GameStop stores originally said in March that it was planning to shutter. GameStop Chief Financial Officer Jim Bell said in the call that the closures will allow us to more efficiently and profitably service our customers. He added, there are more to do, meaning closures in 2021 as well. Tim, how much longer is GameStop going to be around? Because it doesn't sound like it's going to be much longer.
there's not going to be very many of them around, that's for sure. I'm surprised they make it to the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean, if they're going to have more closures in 2021. Now, Tim, I do think that there is oversaturation in the GameStop market. I mean, just here. Tim, I don't feel like we're a really big town here, but I think we have 3 or 4 of them. So, I mean, and that just seems like a lot of game stores for the size town that we are. Maybe I'm wrong. But, it's just, it seems like maybe they tried that growth, kind of like what Chuck E. Cheese tried to grow their way out of their problems, and it just didn't work. So, but it's sad, Tim, because I have a lot of good memories of going to GameStop and picking up games and things. But I just, like we mentioned, just don't know how much longer they're going to be around. So if you want to visit a GameStop, you may want to go soon. So there you go. Now, Tim, this was one of the stories that had a lot of traction over the last month, and just, golly, I mean, I don't know PR-wise how you could screw this up much worse. But Deeproot Pinball delays launch of Retro Atomic Zombie Adventureland. So, Tim, Deeproot Pinball is a new pinball company, and they've been touting this Retro Atomic Zombie Adventureland game for a while, and they've been meaning to reveal it for a while. And I think this was their 3rd attempt at like a big grand reveal. And then with just hours to go before the grand presentation, they called off the reveal. 6 US-based internet bloggers, podcasters, and vloggers were invited to spearhead this launch alongside Deeproot Pinball's own social media team. Unfortunately, what they revealed was that the Raza game and the platform on which it was built were a long way from being ready, suffering reliability and design issues, along with a number of unfinished or incomplete elements. Now, Tim, like I said, this seems like a really big PR disaster. So my question to you is, let's say that you knew that you had already set up this presentation for this particular date, and you already knew that your platform was struggling and that the game didn't work properly. What would you have done in the similar situation? Would you have called it off? And why do you think that they set the reveal? Was this more of a thing like, we'll just set the deadline and hopefully we'll make it? What do you think?
I think so. I would not have called for it unless I knew for sure it was ready to go. But, I don't know all the circumstances and stuff. Maybe they thought it was. It just hadn't you got to have some quarter time in those and see how they work for a while,
Yeah, and, Tim, something I find, and this is coming from a software engineer, that's what I do, in my day job, but things work a lot different when you're the guy who did the software and you do it versus when somebody else does it. Because when you do it, you know kind of what breaks it. But somebody else, they're just going to do it however they think it's supposed to work, and they're going to find ways to break it. And so it could have been when they brought in these bloggers and podcasters and vloggers that they did not play it the way that they thought they were going to play it, and all of a sudden it started breaking everything. And so rather than getting that far, they just decide, we'll postpone it. But here's the thing, Tim. This was their 3rd time at a reveal. I think what they need to do is put that reveal way out in the future and say, or even don't promise anything and just say, we'll reveal it when we're ready to reveal it. I think because when you make a promise and then you don't deliver, I think that's worse than just saying we're going to deliver it at some point in the future. And so I think that's really where they screwed up here, was by setting that hard deadline and then having to back off instead of just saying, we'll reveal it when it's ready. Tim, I don't know how familiar you are with Shigeru Miyamoto, the guy who does the Mario games, but that's basically his philosophy on game design. He's like, you can put a bad game out, and a bad game is a bad game forever, but a postponed game is just a postponed game and can eventually become a good game. And so, you see, that's the thing you always have to remember is that, if you don't show anything, then it just builds anticipation, in my opinion. And that way, when you are ready to show something, hopefully it'll be something that's good. So it's really rough. But Seahorses All Night says, never launch with questionable hardware. Ask NASA. That's right. Oh, Tim, I watched a documentary, and I didn't even put that on the outline. We're going to have to talk about that. I watched the NASA documentary on Challenger. And you watched it too, right?
Yeah, I've watched a part of it. I got tied up in another show.
Okay. But what do you think so far?
Oh, it's very good.
More about that in the after show. Challenger, documentary on Netflix. Very good. We'll talk about that. But so that kind of goes hand in hand with what Seahorses All Night is saying as well. So, YouTube Punk says the latest Windows update killed their pinball machine. It could be. Could be run on Windows. I hope they're not running a pinball machine. Actually, if you ran a pinball machine on Windows IoT, Internet of Things, that platform may work. I wouldn't recommend it, but you never know. So, hopefully, you got to watch out for those Windows updates, though. They'll get you every time. So, and Tim, the last story that we have here in our discussion section kind of has to do with you. and some of your history. Chuck E. Cheese is getting his own movie and TV show, and I think Tim's saying about time, right?
Yeah, about 10, 15 years too late.
Well, hey, they got to find revenue where they can find it now, Tim. So Chuck E. Cheese CEO David McKillips revealed that the company recently launched an entertainment division that will focus on merchandising and toys at first, but the plan is to expand into media. McKillips believes that the mouse has enough brand recognition to justify movies and or a TV show aimed at young children. Ideally, we would love to have Chuck E. Cheese in animation and possibly one day a movie feature as well. For our demographic of 3 to 8-year-olds, he is one of the most popular characters in the world. And I think you're right there, Tim. About 10 years late on this, Tim, but it still seems like it's a pretty good idea. What do you think obviously they probably should move forward with this faster, but I think with COVID kind of hitting them pretty hard, this seems like the right time to maybe look at that, right?
Yeah, maybe so. One of the things that will probably surprise some people is that if you ask kids today or show them a picture of who that is, they know Chuck E. Cheese. Then you show them a picture of Mickey Mouse, and they're like, is that Chucky's cousin or friend? They about half the kids today don't know who Mickey Mouse is because he's not in their movies, or they've never been to Disney World. You don't hear as much about Mickey, but they all know who Chuck E. Cheese is. It's kind of a challenge if you have kids to see if your kids would recognize Mickey Mouse.
So, Tim, if you have Disney Plus and you haven't seen the new Mickey Mouse shorts that they've made recently, they play them on the Disney Channel sometimes, but if you haven't seen the new Mickey Mouse shorts, you should. My daughter absolutely loves them. Some of them are laugh out loud hilarious. So kids, they have revamped Mickey Mouse for a new generation, and so I do think probably with that, more kids are probably starting to recognize Mickey Mouse more than in previous years. But up until recently, it does seem like Disney had kind of taken him off the table for some reason. And I don't know if it's just because they're having trouble adapting him. But the new Mickey Mouse cartoons, highly recommended. Very funny, and they're all on Disney Plus if you have it. Now, YouTube Punk says, welcome to the Chuckyverse. Is this going to be like the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Is that what it's going to be like? The CEC Cinematic Universe?
As a trivia question for tonight, who is the voice of Chuck E. Cheese? Who knows that one in the chat?
Oh, we'll see. I know that, Tim.
We'll put it this way. You might not know his name, but what band is he the lead singer of? And it's not Chucky's band. He is actually a lead singer of a band, and what is that band?
There you go. So, sounds good. We'll throw it out there, see if the live chat can come up with it, Tim. But, I think my daughter would be interested. But by the time these movies and TV shows come out, I think she'll probably be too old for it. Maybe they'll be in time for my son. But, everything's getting to be a character nowadays. So, why not Chuck E. Cheese, right?
No, why not?
So there you go. And hopefully it helps them stay alive because, like I said, right now they're definitely running into a lot of trouble. So, hopefully it's another revenue stream that they can tap into and survive. Because Tim, we want Chuck E. Cheese to be around a long time. I know people, complain about the kids and the pizza and all that kind of stuff. But, Tim, I still have very fond memories of going to Chuck E. Cheese and going with my daughter to Chuck E. Cheese. And, I don't want that place to go out of business anytime soon.
So did anybody in the chat room get the trivia question yet?
Nope, still waiting. YouTube Punk says not Bushnell. Seahorses All Night says lead singer of Foghat.
No.
So there you go. Okay, Tim, I'm going to go ahead while people are guessing and give the regular rundown at the end of the show that we always do. Just a reminder, guys, we want your arcade-related videos. If you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. Send a link of your video to questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and our staff will review it. If we like it, we'll use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure to put in a plug for your channel so people know where to find you. We look forward to seeing your submissions. Tim, we haven't had any submissions in a while, but that's always open to people, and we want to let you guys know that. Tim, a lot of people have issues or problems trying to get monetized on YouTube, and this is a way that we can help them get monetized, hopefully build your audience and expose you to our audience that will hopefully subscribe as well. So again, send those over to questions@arcaderepairtips.com if you have a short video for us to review. And then, Tim, let's go with some contact information so people know where they can get that they can contact us at. We have our general email address at questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Questions with an S at arcaderepairtips.com. Make sure that you put live show in the subject if you want it mentioned on the show. Again, that's questions@arcaderepairtips.com. And then we have our YouTube page, and that's youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. Obviously, if you're watching this live, Tim, you know where it is. But for those of you guys who don't, youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. And comments from the last live show will be covered on the next episode, and updates as well, Tim. We had an update from Sean in this episode, of course, and so we covered that. But if you do have any comments or updates that you'd like to share, you can share those in the comment section of this live show. We'll cover it on the next episode. And then we also have our podcast email. That's podcast@arcaderepairtips.com. That goes to Eric and Rusty, the host of the Question and Answer podcast. And I talked to Eric a while back, and he said that they had a show pretty much complete, Tim, but he has not sent it over to me, so I have not posted that up. But I am hoping to get a show of theirs up at some point in the future. But until then, you can continue to listen to the live show audio on that feed, and you can still email them at podcast@arcaderepairtips.com, and hopefully they'll get around to your question at some point in the future. And be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher if you want to listen to those podcast episodes, and that is at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com and stitcher.arcaderepairtips.com respectfully. So and if you like what you hear, go ahead and leave us a nice review, and then we'd love to get some reviews from you guys. Tim, I love getting reviews. We've had a couple even this year, which is kind of hard to believe, that have been really good. So thank you guys for the positive reviews. And if you haven't left a review and you'd like to, go ahead and check out our iTunes or Stitcher pages for that. iTunes.arcaderepairtips.com and Stitcher.arcaderepairtips.com. And then we have our social media pages, Tim, and we want to thank Louie and Mark for all of the hard work that they do posting content. Mark's kind of our pinball reporter, Tim, and I don't know if you've seen, but he's been posting videos and screenshots of the upcoming Jersey Jack pinball machine, which a lot of people think may have a GNR theme, if you know what I mean. So, but we don't know that for sure. That's a rumor, Tim. Rumor. Okay, unconfirmed, unsubstantiated, but a rumor nonetheless. Maybe GNR. But anyway, so if you want to find out about that and other arcade repair or arcade related news, make sure you check out our Facebook page at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com. facebook.arcaderepairtips.com, and of course all that great content gets cross-posted to Twitter at twitter.arcaderepairtips.com, twitter.arcaderepairtips.com. And again, thank you, Mark and Louie, for all of the fantastic work that you do. And Louie, I don't know if he's still here, Tim. I haven't seen him in a while, but thank you for moderating the live chat for us tonight. We always appreciate that. He does a great job, Tim, of keeping everybody in line and then posting links to some of the stuff that we talk about during the show. So thank you, Louie, for that. Thank you, Mark and Louie, for the fantastic posts you make on the social media pages. We appreciate all your help. So, Tim, here we go. I guess it's time to get into an after show. That's what we're going to be covering here in a bit. Do you have anything to tease in the after show before we close it up here?
No, I haven't thought that far.
Halloween plans. We'll be talking about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about Halloween plans. Maybe some stock market stuff, sports, football and stuff.
I'm throwing some politics. I'm throwing some politics in there, Tim. And we're going to talk on a general level. But how many people watched the debate, and what did you think? And you don't have to tell me what side of the fence you're on. I just want to know what you thought about the debate, because I think it was very interesting. Tim, did you watch any of it?
I watched some of it. I was at work, but the TV was on up there, and then I watched some replay stuff. Okay,
I listened to the entire thing, just the audio version when I was at work, and I'll have some thoughts, and I think Tim will too. So if you want to talk about that, we'll talk about that. And of course, Tim, there's not going to be another live show until after the election, so we can talk a little bit about Election Day as well, and how that's going to look, because it may look a little bit different depending on what state you're in. Sports, like you mentioned, Tim, and that our Dallas Stars did not win the Stanley Cup. But we did make it to the finals. We were close, but we didn't pull through, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then, of course, movies and TV talk as always, Tim. Challenger is on the list. If the Challenger documentary on Netflix, if you haven't seen that, so we will talk about that and a couple other shows that we've been watching. Okay, anything else, Tim, before we move on? Before we move on to the after show and leave the arcade repair universe for a little bit.
I gotta go to the bathroom.
Okay, sounds good. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And again, if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, or if you just wanted the arcade repair talk version of the show, then we'll leave you here. You guys can go ahead and make your exit. If you'd like to stay tuned and hear about all of the after show topics that we just talked about, you can do that. We'll be back here in about 5 to 10 minutes or so. So, but it's up to you. But we do want to thank everybody who sent in questions. We want to thank everybody who is in the live chat tonight. Tim, just a great group of guys always in our live chat. We appreciate you guys being around, especially when there are 14 baseball games on tonight. So we want to thank you guys for being here for us and checking it out. We hope to be back next month in November. Tim, we'll do our Thanksgiving episode. So there you go, and we'll talk some more arcade repair related questions and more news and all of that great stuff. But guys, thank you again for watching, and remember, here at Arcade Repair Tips, when we fix the game,
Play the
that's
game.
right. Thank you guys again for watching, and we'll either see you next month or in the after show. Bye now.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. All of our past episodes are available on our website at arcaderepairtips.com or on our YouTube page. This show is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please consult a professional before attempting to repair any coin-operated machines yourself. The preceding program is a Varcade Entertainment production.
Okay, and we're back. We're back with the after show, guys. Sorry about the little bit longer than usual wait. Had to take a call from my mom, right, Tim?
Yeah.
So
Mom's take
that's right, exactly. So she actually called during the show, and so I had she called right after we finished the regular show. So I was like, well, I got to call her back, or I got to answer it now. So so Tim, let's go ahead and get into the after show real quick. How'd you think that the regular show went?
I think it's pretty good. You always like Michael's minutes. I think they add a lot to it and stuff. So of course, when I'm with you like this, I don't see the chat room. I hope it was pretty lively. Seems like we got a pretty steady crew of regulars.
Absolutely, yeah, and just want to thank everybody for sticking around with us and being here. We had to get off to a little bit of a late start tonight just because my wife got home a little late from work, but I think we still had a pretty good crowd. Tim, didn't the Thursday night football game get canceled due to COVID?
I think that's Sunday's game between the Titans and the Steelers.
Okay, yeah,
but it might have.
I couldn't remember who was playing tonight.
I don't know. I'll look at it real quick. I don't get the NFL Network.
Yeah, I don't either. But I mean, the Thursday night games were on Amazon at one point, but
they're not on there. So.
Okay, so there you go. So that must have been the game. So you doing fantasy this year, Tim?
Yeah, I got a fantasy team. I'm terrible.
I'm actually 2-1. I feel pretty good.
I'm 1-2.
That's not bad. It's early in the season. You got a lot of time. Hey, look, the Cowboys are that, and they're number 1 in the division. So you can't.
Everybody on my team got hurt the first week.
Injuries have been huge, and I think not having that preseason has made a big difference in that.
I do too.
So there you go. Oh, Louis says Denver and the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets are beating Denver 7-0.
Thanks for the update, but that doesn't sound like a very exciting game. So.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Exactly. So, Tim, let's talk about Halloween. You got any plans? Do you plan on actually going trick-or-treating? Are you going to do anything besides stay in your house and be cooped up?
No, I'll probably be here. What day of the week is it?
Saturday.
Saturday. Well, hopefully I'll get off work early. And this is, we moved this year.
I think it's Saturday. It's Saturday.
I think our neighborhood is pretty popular for trick-or-treaters, and so I'm probably looking forward to just staying around here and handing out candy.
Okay. I
know that we're posting in our neighborhood Facebook page, do people still want to give candy? And we're like, heck yeah. I mean, it's the one time a year you actually want to wear a mask. And so, it's like, I don't think that we should shut it or not have it. I think we'll have plenty. So I'm just looking forward to sitting around here and giving out candy.
Yeah, so... Oh, the kids are coming in. What are you guys doing? We're in the after show. It's okay.
You want to come see Daddy?
Oh, okay. Well, you can't. they're just gonna hang out, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Probably good. So that's okay. Well, I'll be there in a little bit. We just have to finish up the after show, guys. So, but they just want to see Daddy. I don't blame them. So there you go. But they're excited. I think they went and got some stuff. YouTube Punk says you could always rig up a Nerf gun to shoot candy. I've seen the people who take in PVC pipe and made chutes, like 6-foot chutes. You put your bucket at the end of the chute and they put the candy in it and then shoot down that way. Our church I think is going to do a drive-through trunk or treat, Tim, where people drive through and they're going to put candy in your bucket. So.
Okay.
But it's going to be different. My daughter, we already bought her costume. She wants to be Batgirl. So we got her a pink Batgirl costume. So I don't know if we're going to go along with that theme or not, but we're kind of trying to decide. So, but yeah, it's going to be different, obviously.
Yeah.
But and Tim, here's the thing: we live in a neighborhood, man, that's awesome for trick or treating. We have literally like hundreds of people go down the street, trick or treating and getting candy, and all the people here give out good candy, and I'm really gonna miss that. So it's one of my favorite holidays. I love giving out candy. So. But here, I've got my costume. Here's my costume right here. What am I?
You're a control panel?
Yeah, I'm a control panel. There you go. A control panel overlay, Tim. I didn't have any buttons. So, but anyway. So, Tim, there are more businesses opening up here. You mentioned during the actual show that we're at 75% capacity now, which is pretty high. I mean, almost back to normal for the most part. But a lot of states are still 100% locked down, and so it does seem like it just really depends on where you live as to whether or not you're able to get around now. So.
Yeah, I think so. we went out to eat last night, and it actually, I forgot almost that, there were a couple tables here and there that were marked off, but for the most part, none of them were. And so it felt weird not sitting, not close to somebody, but closer than normal without the table in between us or something.
Right. So, but like I said, I think we're probably more normal here, but our cases have been substantially lower than the rest of the nation too. And so I don't know, if we're going to have a big, like a big uptick or not, or what's going to happen with more stuff opening up. To be honest with you though, Tim, even though a lot of people are out, it does seem like people are doing a good job of wearing masks and washing hands and maintaining social distance when possible.
Yeah. The only problem I have, John, is a friend of ours moved to Odessa, Texas over 2 years ago. And his wife got a letter in the mail from our local hospital, Mother Francis here, that said, you have tested positive for COVID. And we're kind of wondering how she tested positive since she hasn't been back to Tyler in 2 years and is over 8 hours away. So stuff like that keeps happening. I'm wondering, are the numbers really accurate even in our area? Where did they get that from? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question, but I'm just going to continue to do the best I can as far as wearing masks, and we still aren't really getting out. I haven't even been out to eat at a restaurant yet as far as inside. We've done curbside a lot, but I haven't been inside of a restaurant yet since this whole thing started. And, we go into stores sparingly only when we need to. So I'm going to continue to limit my exposure as much as I can. But, Tim, there's a possibility we're all going to get this at some point. But I was reading about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, Tim, and they've had tremendous luck with that. I don't know if you've seen that, but 98% of the people who they've given it to so far developed the antibodies within a month's time of getting the vaccine. And they were saying that there's very little to no side effects. And so they're in their final trial stage. It's a 60,000 person trial that they're in right now. But if that succeeds, they're going to start distributing this vaccine. Now, here's the thing. I don't want to be in the first people to take it. I'm going to wait at least a month before I want to take it. But, I think that's encouraging to see it happening so quickly. So,
buying Johnson & Johnson stock as we speak.
Oh, what now? You're buying it right now? Yeah. I don't.
Maybe I'll buy Johnson & Johnson stock.
I was about to say, I would be surprised if it didn't already have the uptick from that. So. But, yeah, it's looking good. The vaccine does look like it's going to happen. To get it, this came up during the debate the other night, Tim, but it probably is going to be probably the first of next year before we see widespread distribution. But they said that in the debate, but the thing is that we may see distribution in your area sooner than that. And that was, I think, that was what the point was during the debate. Widespread distribution, yes, probably not until early to mid next year, but we may see distribution in certain areas before then. Tim, I know that Dallas, for instance, already has had some of the vaccines have been tested in that area. And so Dallas may be one of the areas that gets it faster than some of the others just because they've already been doing testing in that area. And so you may see vaccines available before the first of next year if you're in areas where the distribution channels are available. So, but we'll see what happens. And like I said, it's going to be up to everybody whether or not they want to take it. I'm definitely going to wait a little bit. I don't want to be the first guinea pig up, to do it. But Tim, here's the deal. There are a lot of people volunteering for the vaccine test, which I'm surprised by. I sure wouldn't do that. But obviously they have enough volunteers to go ahead and do it. So.
Well, those are brave people.
Absolutely. So, by the time it gets to you and me, it will have already been tested somewhat. And like I said, a 60,000 person test, Tim, is nothing to sneeze at. That's a lot of people, right? And so if they have little to no side effects in that test, I would think that that's probably going to be that'll probably be a viable vaccine. But you do want to be careful. Especially if you're a person who reacts weird to things anyway, if you react weird to medications and things, you definitely want to wait a little bit at least before you get it. So.
I agree. Yeah.
So Tim, speaking of Johnson & Johnson stock, how have your investments gone this month? Maybe just tell us some of your winners and your losers.
Well, I'm trying to think. I've probably traded more. Haven't had any huge winners. Well, I did have one. I can't remember the ticker now. One big winner, a lot of little winners. Oh, my daughter is calling me. Let me see. I'll send her a message.
I was going to look at my portfolio real quick while you're talking.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, John. I made some really good money, but it's been so many trials that I can't even name all of them right now. It's been
You can pull it all up in Webull. If you're using Webull or Robinhood, you can see what your trades were.
Yeah, I can see what my trades were.
If you go to performance.
Uh-huh.
So my big winner was Cosmo Energy, Tim, KOS. So I didn't invest a whole lot in it, but let's see what I bought in at $1.05 and I sold at $1.32.
Okay.
So that was my big winner for the month. So I didn't make a whole lot on that. I think I only had I didn't have very many shares, maybe 30 or so. So I think I made like $8 on that, something like that. So, but that was my big winner.
Yeah, I've been. My big winner was I bought Tesla before the reverse split, and that profited me probably about $100 total. Bought some Apple when it went before it split. Made probably about another $50 there. Gosh, I'm trying to think. AMRC, which is an energy company, I've traded almost every week. It goes down to 48 bucks and goes up to 34, like consistent every week. I don't know why. InBev is just announced a merger today after hours. I'm buying some of that for tomorrow at the stock that I've. It is a what do you call that oil that is made from marijuana? What am I thinking? My brain. And trying to answer my daughter. But hemp oil.
Oh, hemp oil. Okay.
You know, well, it has a name. Gosh, my mind is gone. It's been a long day. Anyway, they make an energy drink with that in it, and I think that it doesn't have THC or anything in there. But anyway, like the gummy bears and stuff, they make an energy drink with it.
Gotcha.
So that stock I think is going to do pretty good. I had a really big winner. I'm trying to look it up, and I'm not able to pull it up. You can talk while I'm looking.
I was going to say, so my loser was Solo, which is Electromechanica Vehicles Incorporated, which is a electronic vehicle corporation. But I bought it 2.6 I bought it 2.8 and I sold it 2.6. So I only lost a couple of bucks on that, but it was actually my biggest loser. I didn't, Tim, I tend to invest low on things that I think may, have potential, but I think may go down, and invest high on things that I think have better potential. And so a lot of times when I lose, I'm going to lose $1 or something, but when I gain, I try to get big gains, like at least up to 8 or 10. And I'm not playing with big figures, guys. I'm playing with small amounts of money.
I don't have any big losses, but I told you about Watt, W-A-T-T.
Yes.
I'm just taking even there, and I don't know whether I'm going to hold it or just move on to the next thing and not tie my money in it. For those of you guys that don't know, their original plan was they make a wireless charging system. In other words, you can charge your phone while you're in the bed without it being plugged in. Their original goal, which got shot down by the FCC, was to make a restaurant where you walked in and everybody's phones would charge while you were there.
That's pretty cool.
Wireless. It does send a little electricity through the air, and I guess because it's such a new technology, they've cut them back to 3 meters, which is about 9 feet, which is pretty good. So right now they're testing them in homes, but eventually they want to do it like in restaurants where you plug several of these in near the booth. I don't know how many people have come into the restaurant and said, hey, is there a booth near a plug? I need to charge. They wanted to put these in malls where while you're walking around the mall, you'd be charging. I think that would be kind of cool.
Oh, and while we're talking about charging, Tim, can I give people a piece of IT advice?
Yeah.
Don't charge your phone unless it's under 30%.
Okay.
And I know that sounds weird, but the reason why is because if you leave your phone charging all the time, you're going to kill the cells that are at the top of your battery. So
Right.
make sure that you don't charge your phone until it gets down to like less than 30%, and then charge it. That way you can use up the whole cell spectrum of your battery.
And don't leave it, once it hits 100%, don't leave it charging all night.
Right, or use a trickle charger. which is a slow charger overnight. That's what I do. I use a slow charger overnight, and the slow charger still gets me to 100% in the morning, but it's a very slow charge, so even when it gets to 100, it's still not killing the cells at the top of the battery as fast. So, let's see. YouTube Punk says, man, Tim is slaying it. There you go. Do any of you guys use folding at home? I do not. Tim, do you know what fold at home is? It's like a, oh, what is it?
I fold clothes at home. A lot.
No, it's like a shared computing app that basically it uses like the extra CPU time on your device and devotes it to solving problems. So if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've looked into it. I did have it on one of my computers at one time, but I haven't used it in a while. Seahorses All Night. Let's see. January vaccine, February The Walking Dead 2020. There you go, Tim. So it's gonna be like what is that? What is the Will Smith movie? Where they come?
What?
I don't know if you're talking with the zombies.
Apocalyptic.
Yeah, I can't even think of the name of it. I Am Legend. Boom.
I Am Legend.
So anyway. So I think that does it for the investment talk, Tim. Now we already had some comments about the debate, but Tim, before I get to the people in the live chat, what did you think of what you digested of the debate?
Can I be honest? Without just, we don't like to pick sides or anything. I was really disappointed overall in the debate. I thought that both of them interrupted each other a lot. I don't think we heard much of anybody's policy. It was just like two old men arguing. And it was like, I don't know. I felt, I do feel like that if you had to pick a winner, I feel like Trump won the debate, but it wasn't by much, and it wasn't a good victory. It's kind of like a football game that was real low scoring, and you say, well, they won because they won the score, but it was very boring to watch. It was just a bad game, a low scoring game, or a baseball game where two good pitchers come out, but the game is decided by one run late in the inning is kind of boring. I don't know. That's kind of how I felt about it. What about you?
So for me, I was in the same boat probably as everybody in the live chat and you, and that it just seemed like it was just a lot of bickering and going back and forth and Tim. But here's the deal: if we as a citizen of this country, if we as citizens of this country can't be civil, how do we expect politicians who are partisan to be civil? That would be my question to you. Is like I've seen people on my Facebook feed on both sides and how they talk and how uncivilized their rhetoric is. If I can't expect people on my Facebook feed to be civil, how in the world can I expect actual politicians who are actually partisan to be civil? And I think that really explains exactly what happened in the debate, is the fact that you can't. You just can't. When the country is divided as it is, it's hard for if it's hard for a regular person to be civil, you can't expect to have your politicians. So, and it really was like two angry old men just fighting and just yelling at each other. Like they were both on, like one was like, "You get off my lawn," "No, you get off my lawn," kind of thing.
I just were kind of wishing they would just give them some boxing gloves and let them fight it out and be done with it. And the winner's the president or something. I don't know. It kind of. I would be embarrassed if my friends from Germany would have tuned in.
Right.
To be honest. I would have been embarrassed for our whole country.
And I do think that, I think that part of it too was the format. I don't think they should have allowed them to really talk over each other. Because here's the deal, Tim. I think most people want to hear they want to hear actual substance. And at the beginning of the debate, they both started out with actual substance. And then as the debate moved forward, it kind of became this just shouting match at each other. And Chris Wallace totally lost control of everything. Poor Chris Wallace. And, it just went way off the rails. And Tim, I don't think we got to hear much of the platform of either candidate. We got to hear some, because like I said at the beginning at least, it started out okay. Like the first 30 minutes or so were pretty spot on, but once they started really, kind of jabbing at each other directly is when the whole thing just, like I said, it just turned into like a big bickering match.
Right, and I don't think some of the questions were answered that no matter what side of the aisle you're on, you would want your candidate to say or or do something. I don't think that happened on either side. I don't think either one of them really presented their case for their platform at all.
Geek Like
And,
08 says, like the two old men from the Muppets in the balcony of the Muppet Show.
yeah, that's a great.
So yeah, and it's really sad because Tim, I don't think that debate changed anybody's mind.
No,
because there was no substance to change anybody's mind. Go ahead.
Here, I think the vice presidential debate will be a lot different, and I think we got different personalities. I think we'll hear more. I think Mike Pence and will be a little bit more respectful of, especially with her being a female. I think that
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris is very articulate. I think she'll probably be a little bit more respectful also. So I'm actually looking more forward to that debate. Is that tonight or?
That is coming up. I think I think next week. It is the next debate. The next debate is the vice presidential one, but I'm not sure what the date is.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking more forward to that one. I think that that could actually be interesting watching. But then the other one's kind of like, why don't they just let Jerry Springer moderate?
So here's some more thoughts. YouTube Punk says Biden won barely, only because he didn't flub it or have a major gaffe like Trump did. I think here's the deal. I think Biden had low expectations. And so I think I think the fact that he didn't, I mean, a lot of people for some reason thought he was just going to cave, which I didn't feel like that at all. But they had very low expectations of Biden. So did he exceed those low expectations? Absolutely, he did. And so I think in that case, you could definitely say that Biden won because as far as expectations go, he exceeded the expectations people had on him. But Tim, I don't know if anybody really won because it's kind of, like I said, did either of them gain any votes or lose any votes? I would say probably not.
Yeah. I don't think they changed anybody's mind. I don't think they helped or hurt their case.
Right, and that's why I look to a debate to do, Tim, is I look for a debate to either help a candidate or hurt a candidate, and it just didn't seem like it helped or hurt either one of them.
Right.
So, I mean, it's kind of like we're still exactly where we are before the debate, which blows my mind because typically in a debate at least one thing happens where people are like, oh, well, that's a good point. I think I'll vote for him. And we never really got that because we never got to substance.
I think if one of them would have kept their composure and just let the other person talk, and it would have made that person look so much better. Whoever it was, I think somebody had an opportunity to pick up some votes, and neither one of them did.
Exactly. So it was weird because of that. I think it was weird because it turned into such a. But here's the thing. I expected Trump to do that, to turn it into a bickering match. I didn't expect Biden to buy into it. And that was one thing that was kind of weird is like, I expected Biden to be like, I'm above that. But he kind of gave back to Trump as much as Trump gave back to him, which I found was interesting. I think if Biden would have played it like, you can name call and do all this stuff that you want to, but, people are looking for real solutions for this country, and that's what I'm here for. If he would have played it off like that, he would have come off so much better. But he didn't. He let Trump sucker him into the bickering match, and we got what we got.
Right.
So, but I thought it was interesting, and like I said, I don't think it changed anybody's mind. It didn't change my mind. I don't think it changed anybody's. So it is what it is. Now, Tim, we didn't. This is just a general question. The Rock, I don't know if you saw, he came out for the Biden-Harris ticket, and so, but my question to you is: do endorsements make a difference to you when you're voting? And this is same to the live chat as well. Does an endorsement of somebody make a difference in who you vote in? Or is it all about your beliefs and comparing them to the candidate? I mean, because for me, it's all about my beliefs and comparing them to the candidates and seeing which one matches me the best. But does somebody's endorsement, if there's a certain person, mean something or would change your vote based on who endorsed them? So, like, The Rock obviously is a big celebrity to people, but him endorsing Biden-Harris, does that change your vote at all?
A celebrity, no. Maybe somebody like a mentor or somebody I looked up to. I'll give you a great example. The guy who founded BET Television today came out and he didn't technically endorse, but he said he was going to vote for Trump over Biden and really railed on Biden. And I thought to myself, I'm not black, but if the head of BET or the person that founded it said that would influence somebody, because he really gave a compelling argument of why he did not like Biden, and I was kind of shocked. On the other hand, I've heard other people that said, well, they like Trump, and they gave some pretty compelling reasons like that. So I guess it's kind of like, I don't know really, politics, I just have my own views, and there's a reason I vote a certain way. We can even say this, Jonathan, that even across our staff, not everybody is on the same page.
Nope.
But we all get along, and we all respect that. We're very respectful of other people's opinions. In fact, you and I have talked about, we really miss the fact that we can't have good, fair, and honest debates. Or at the end of the day, I've got a ton of people that are Republicans, a ton of people are Democrats on my Facebook, and I'm friends with all of them. But, I don't tout my personal beliefs. I don't push my agenda on people. But at the same time, I like to hear why people that disagree with me, why do they feel that way?
Right. And so the candidate Geeklight08 says not in the slightest. Doesn't make a difference to him. I'm in the same boat. It would have to be somebody. I mean, I can't think of anybody in the world, like celebrity world, that I truly respect enough to listen to change my vote. So for me, it's all about beliefs and which one matches the best. Now, here's the deal. When it comes to this election, the person that matches me the best is probably only carries about 30% of the beliefs that I really believe in. But I'm still going to vote for that person over the person that only carries 10% of my beliefs. Right. And so that's what it comes down to. So just because somebody's voting for a candidate doesn't necessarily mean that they like everything that candidate stands for. And I think that's something we forget. Because as soon as you tell somebody I'm voting for Biden or I'm voting for Trump, then a lot of times they think, oh, then you believe this, and this. And I was like, no, I don't. I believe in these three things, and these three things are really important to me, and these three things are the things that I know that he's going to get done. And that's really what it comes down to. It's not about, just because you vote for a candidate doesn't necessarily mean you believe in every single thing that candidate says or does. And I think people think that. They think that if you vote for somebody that you agree with every single thing that they do, but you don't. It's about matching your belief system to somebody else's belief system. And Tim, there's not another person in the entire world that I've met that matches my belief system entirely. There are some that match it 90%. But there's nobody matches it entirely. And in this election, I think the best candidate's only going to match it about 30%. So, just to give you an idea. So, it's interesting to me how people will get mad because you're voting for somebody, but really you don't. It's not like you agree with every single little thing that person says or does. So, well,
the shame of it is that I think somebody said, it was like, you looked at this and went, there's 300 million people in the United States, and this is the two best that we got to choose from. It's like, is there really no other options? And I understand why Trump was elected. I think there's a lot of people, including myself, that kind of anti-establishment. I'm tired, part of the reason that, when somebody's in politics for 40, 50 years, that bothers me. It's not supposed to be that way. But at the same time, but I do like some organization and some rules and some etiquette and some things. So you're right, it's a tough call. A lot of times, a lot of people say this, you pick the lesser of two evils most of the time.
The Razor says, I don't understand why they don't just cut mics like YouTube Punk says. That would have been a great idea, and I don't know why why the moderator didn't have the capability to do that during the debate, Tim. I think they would have helped tremendously, because all he would have had to do was cut them off once and say, we're not going to let you bicker like that, and that would have been the end of it. They would have stopped, but they never did that.
It was kind of like the NBA game where they let them play too rough, and at the end of the game they're throwing punches, and it's like you kind of count on the referee to keep things under control. You don't want them picking every little foul, but you don't want to just let them get away with stuff to the point where both teams are fighting,
Exactly. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Seahorses at Night says, I'm voting for whoever Chuck Norris wants. Let's see. YouTube Punk says, between mic cuts and shock collars, I think we fixed it. Let's see. Geeklight 08 says, at the end of the day, we are all screwed anyway. That may be true. I hope it's not, though. But yeah, it's just, this is a really tough election cycle this time, Tim, I think. And it's just, man, I just hate that we're so divided. But I will say this, I don't care which side of the aisle you're voting, but go out and vote on November 3rd. You should. Yeah. So, I mean, you should. And here's the deal. Like I said, you don't have to agree with the person 100% to vote for them. Vote for the person who matches you the best. And that best may be only 30% like we mentioned. But there's something, Tim, about exercising your right to vote. Now, here's the deal. I am a believer in exercising your right not to vote. So if you do believe that both the candidates are terrible, or whatever the case may be, maybe you should write in a candidate, or maybe you should look at some third-party candidates. But if you also just want to say, I don't like either one of these people, I'm not going to vote at all, I understand that too, because, I mean, that says something. Your non-vote says something as well. But I would encourage you to vote for the candidate that matches you the best, even if they only match you 10 or 20%. So, but November 3rd, Tim, I will early vote. I will definitely early vote. I will not go on November 3rd, but I plan on exercising my right to vote for sure. What about you?
Oh yeah, I'll go early because that's Taco Tuesday, and I'll have a hard time getting off.
There you go. So, guys, just get out and vote. We're not going to have another live show between now and then, but we just want you guys to get out there, vote, exercise your right, and be safe while you're doing it. Wear your mask if you need to. If you're doing, I know some states, Tim, are doing the sending out ballots to everybody, and you're sending them back. If that's the case, fill that thing out and get it in early. Don't wait until the last minute. Get it in as fast as you can. Tim, I want to know a winner by the end of November 3rd. So,
right.
So get your absentee ballot in like now. So here in Texas, they've already sent them out, so people should be voting. If you've requested one. Here you have to request one. I know some states are just sending them out. Here you actually have to request one. So if you've requested one, you should be getting it soon. Anyway, Tim, moving on to sports. Something maybe we can all agree about. I don't know. But NBA Finals going on, right? Lakers Heat. Have you watched any of that?
No.
Okay, I haven't either. So I don't know if people are. I don't know if they are. But if you are, then hopefully you're enjoying it. As soon as the Mavericks were out, Tim, I was out. So
yeah,
I mean,
me too.
But Luka, man, he put on some great performances during that run. Love Luka. So looking forward to next year, Tim. Maybe we can make a run at it again. But so I'm not watching the finals. Just want to see if you are, Tim. I know you're a bigger basketball fan than I am, probably. So.
Yeah, not watching.
Okay, well, Did you watch any of the NHL Stanley Cup finals?
I didn't. I got to see a little bit at work, and I followed it online. That was definitely pretty exciting.
Yeah, and gosh, it breaks my heart, Tim. We were on a magical run there. I thought we were the team of destiny, the Dallas Stars. And Tim, when all of our guys went down hurt, I was just like, there's just no way we're doing it. And Game 5 was a miracle. That game was a miracle. We had no business winning that game. That was like divine hand of God coming down saying Stars are going to win this thing, because there was no way we should have won that. And when Game 6, when we lost, it didn't surprise me in the bit, but our guys played hard the entire time. Up until the last minute, they were playing hard. And, it was an incredible series. And Tim, we're going to get another Stanley Cup victory one of these days. I know it. So now, Tim, have you been keeping up with the MLB postseason? Because the last 2 or 3 days have been the best 2 or 3 days for baseball fans ever, because they've been doing the 3-game playoffs. Uh-huh. And if you haven't been watching these, they're super entertaining. This is postseason baseball at its best. Man, there was a game, the elimination game between Cleveland and the Yankees last night was back and forth, took forever to play, and the Yankees came out on top, eliminating Cleveland. But man, it was so much fun to watch. So if you're not watching baseball, now is the time to watch baseball. I promise. It's awesome. And Tim, the World Series and the NLDS are going to be right here in Texas, in Arlington, at our new stadium, and you can get tickets starting on Tuesday, I think. So I'm not going. I'm going to try to be safe, but you can go to a World Series or NLDS game, even though the Rangers won't be playing in it. So
pretty cool.
Yeah. And then, Tim, we talked a little bit about fantasy, but any other NFL news that you want to talk about? Of course, following the Cowboys, we're 1-2 right now, but that's good enough for first in the division, so I'll take it. But any Cowboys thoughts?
Well, they definitely are a different team under the new coach, but a lot of the same mistakes. It's like I'm hoping that we can get some of the bugs worked out. We're beating ourselves, it seems like.
Absolutely. So, unfortunately, it does seem like that. Mike McCarthy, I think, has done well. But, Tim, changing a defensive scheme without preseason games seems like a tough call. And so it seems like our defense is learning on the fly, unfortunately, which is tough. And our offense looks great. Our offense is firing on all cylinders. But, man, our defense can't hold anybody right now. And our safeties look awful. I mean, Russell Wilson tore us a new one. So, and I mean, he is probably this season so far the best quarterback in the league. But man, I mean, our defense looks bad.
He's my quarterback on my fantasy team.
Oh, who is?
Russell Wilson.
Oh, you see, you've got a good player right there, Tim.
I know. I just don't have much. I had Saquon Barkley backing him, running back, and he got hurt. Everybody's hurt on my team.
There you go. Well, I am keeping up with the Cowboys, so I don't know. Tim, usually, for the last couple years, our Christmas gift from my father was to go to a Cowboy game, me and my brother with him. And this year, I don't think we're going to get to do it just because of, they've got people who are doing tickets and everything, but we just don't want to risk it,
Yeah, isn't it weird watching these games? So I got a question for you, Jonathan. How do you like the fake crowd noise?
It's okay. Baseball was really the first time I really heard it, and I got used to it. And so it doesn't bother me anymore. It did for a while, but now it's just like crowd noise to me. I drown it out.
But do they play it at the stadium, or do we only hear it?
At the stadium. For baseball, they do. I don't know about everybody else.
Okay.
Baseball, they do.
I was kind of curious.
Yeah, so they hear it when it's loud in there, like the players hear it. Oh, there's some interesting conversation here in the live chat, Tim. We got Geeklight08 says, I'm voting for Pac-Man, and YouTube Punk says, it's Miss Pac is VP. Geeklight says, toss up with Donkey Kong. And then heard it was going to be Qbert, but he went and cleaned up his language. Yeah, you see, and Geeklight says, I know, right? Such a foul mouth. So, get some good humor from the live chat this evening. Tim, just a couple of cord cutting talk things. I've mentioned before that I'm on a trial of Peacock right now, which is the universal streaming app, and they just announced that they do have the app on Roku devices now. So, if you've been wanting to check out Peacock, then you should, and you have a Roku device, you can go ahead and download it. And then, Tim, I don't know if you purchased Mulan on Disney Plus for $30, but basically, if you're a Disney Plus subscriber, you could pay $30 for the new live-action Mulan. Tim, that's too expensive for me, so I have not seen it yet, and I do want to see it, but I'm going to wait till either December when it comes out on Disney Plus, or if it drops to $20. $20 is kind of my sweet spot. So.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. $19.99 sounds a lot better than $29.99.
Absolutely. So, I mean, there were apparently they sold quite a few at $29.99. More power to them for that, but I wasn't going to be one of them. Okay, Tim, let's go ahead and go to TV shows real quick. Let's talk about the Challenger documentary on Netflix, Tim. Now, I did not know anything that happened after the space shuttle exploded. And because I was young when that happened. I mean, I was 6, 5, something like that when it happened. I remember seeing it on TV.
Like I did.
What?
You didn't get to watch it live on TV in civics class like I did.
No, I was in kindergarten at the time, so they didn't wheel it in for us. But my parents were my dad's a news junkie, so we watched World News Tonight with Peter Jennings every night, and so I remember watching the news that night and Peter Jennings telling us about what happened. So, but I did not realize all of the stuff that went on after the fact. Did you? Did you know about all of the stuff that happened after the explosion?
I remember a lot of it, yeah.
Like, I did not realize that they had that they had done the investigation and that they knew about all that stuff ahead of time. And Tim, that's just so disheartening because you think of NASA as such a, I guess, good organization, right?
Right.
I mean, all of the wonderful things that they brought us. So.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize the thing about the SEALs and all that kind of stuff until I watched the documentary. And if you're my age, you may not realize any of that stuff either. That the failure of the Challenger was because in the solid rocket boosters there was, they were having a problem with the seals, and that if the seals, basically if the flame ever got out of that seal, that it was going to explode. And that's exactly what happened. The company that manufactured the solid rocket boosters told NASA basically that in cold temperatures that those rings would fail and that they would probably explode. And NASA basically decided to go on with the launch anyway. So,
right.
And to be honest with you, that's probably the whole reason why we don't have civilian space travel now. Because, I mean, some of the first civilian people who were going up into space were on Challenger. And so if Challenger would have succeeded, Tim, I think we would have had civilian space travel a lot sooner. But here we are, it's 2020, and we still don't have it.
Right.
So if you haven't watched it, you should. I mean, and even if you know the story, Tim, they get interviews with the people from the company that built the solid rocket boosters, with the NASA engineers, with the NASA investigators, all of the different people who are involved. It is a fantastic documentary, and you may already know the story, but hearing it from the people who were there and who were involved, I think means a lot. So, Tim, if you haven't watched it, you need to go back and watch the rest of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go watch more of it.
So it was really good. Tim, before we move on, any other TV shows or movies that you've seen?
I've been watching, and we talked about this before, a new season of Greenleaf came out, and I like that show. It's one of my favorite shows.
Netflix?
It's on Netflix. One of just the acting, everything in it.
What's it about?
It's about a mega church pastor. It's a black family. Their last name is Greenleaf. And you kind of see them behind the scenes. On Sunday, they're the big mega church, and throughout the week they have a lot of struggles just like everybody else.
Is it a reality show, or is it a written show?
It's a written show. It's Oprah Winfrey channel.
Oh, no.
Show off of that.
Okay.
But it really just to give you an idea, they kind of go through this progression where they become a mega church and they have all this money, and they're kind of not they get used to basically they're rich, and how they treat people and how they pastor and do things. And then even in the later seasons where they're talking about people really doing real church work in inner cities and stuff, and how they're kind of wasted their money. And so just the acting in it is phenomenal. If you ever watch and they always leave on this huge cliffhanger, you name it, there's murder, mystery, all kinds of things going on, and every episode ends in this cliffhanger. You're like, oh gosh, what happened? I gotta watch another. I'll watch 4 or 5 of them at a time.
Yeah, so I'll have to check it out, Tim. I am not familiar with Greenleaf, but I'll put it on my list and see what's up. Tim, a lot of talk in the live chat about Cobra Kai, and Geek Light says he binged both seasons. And Tim, I watched them all when it was on YouTube, and it is fantastic, way better than it has any right to be. If you haven't checked out Cobra Kai yet, it's on Netflix. You have no excuse now. So
yeah,
it is in the top 10 of all streaming worldwide right now.
Yeah.
So it is really good. Third season, I've been waiting for the third season since the second season came out on YouTube. I feel cheated because it moved to Netflix and they postponed it. It was supposed to come out this year, so it sucks. But looking forward to Cobra Kai Season 3 for sure. Tim, anything else besides Greenleaf?
That's all I've had time to watch lately, besides some football I've kind of gotten into, watching some college and stuff.
Sure. So I'll go ahead and talk about mine. I don't have very many. So I talked about Peacock earlier, Tim. There is one show on Peacock that was on NBC that we've been finishing up Season 3 of, and that is AP Bio, which is a hilarious show. And Season 3 is only on Peacock. So the first 2 seasons were on NBC proper, like the actual NBC, and this season is only on Peacock. And Tim, it is still hilarious. I love that show. If you haven't seen AP Bio, you should check it out. It's on Peacock. Check it out now. And people are also saying Umbrella Academy. So I tried to watch the first season or the first episode of Umbrella Academy, and I watched it, and I don't know, I just couldn't get a feel for it. And so I may have to go back and watch it. My wife started watching it, but I think she stopped because something happened in it that she didn't like. And I was like, you're watching Umbrella Academy. It doesn't really seem like it was up her alley. But she had started watching it. I think she stopped for some reason. I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. But one thing I can get into is The Vow on HBO. Tim, have you seen this?
No, haven't heard of it.
Have you heard of a cult called NXIVM?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it's about.
Okay.
So,
yes, I have
Keith
seen
Raniere.
part of it. Yeah.
So it is basically a behind-the-scenes look at this cult called NXIVM. The guru of this cult was called Keith Raniere. That's his name. And now he's in jail and facing all these charges. And then one of his subordinates, Allison Mack, who was a famous actress, is also facing a lot of charges with her, along with other people who are involved. But I had no idea about any of this, Tim, and I started watching this documentary, and now I can't stop. One is released every week. And of course now you'd have to catch up, but it's on HBO Max and HBO proper if you're watching it. But crazy stuff, Tim. And the thing is that unlike other cults, they hook you in with good stuff. Like the beginning of it is really good, and it's like we're all supporting each other, and it's feel good, and then it takes a dark turn. And once they basically get you to trust them completely, is when things start to go really, really bad. So Anexium is the name of the cult. Keith Raniere was the guy who masterminded it, and The Vow is the name of the documentary. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, and Tim, you probably know I am because I watch like every documentary on Scientology. But if you're interested in that stuff, you should definitely check it out because it's very fascinating. Can't recommend it enough. Very well done by people who were actually in the organization, which makes it even better because it really kind of tells you their side of the story, because people always think about cults like how did people get tricked into this stuff. This one actually shows you how these people got in, and it's fascinating. So The Vow. Let's see, what's Tim's favorite anime? That's from YouTube Punk.
Gosh, Gotcha Man, G-Force.
Oh,
From the 80s.
there you go. I'm a Dragon Ball Z fan. I'm not afraid to admit it. I love Dragon Ball. So, anyway, let us continue on here, Tim. Let's see. What's Tim and Jonathan's favorite anime? We just got it. I was ahead of you. But anyway, Tim, let me continue on. So The Boys is a superhero show on Prime, Tim, and the second season is out, but I have purposefully not watched it because I don't like the fact that they didn't release them all at once. They're releasing them weekly. So I'm going to wait till they're all out, and then I'm going to binge it. So, I'm looking forward to it. I rewatched season 1 before season 2 came out, so I am caught up, and I really want to see it, but I'm going to wait until I can watch the whole thing at once. So, The Boys is very good. And Tim, the other thing that I watched is actually very, very relevant to the topics that we talk about. That is Console Wars on CBS All Access, which is a documentary about the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis generation of video game consoles, and it's based on the book, which you should read if you haven't already, especially if you grew up during that time period. But it has interviews with people who were from Nintendo and Sega and what was going on in each of their camps during that time. Tim, the TV documentary is harder for me to recommend after the book because the book goes into so much detail about everything. But still, if you're not familiar, like somebody like you who didn't really grow up in the heat of that battle on the playground between Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, I think the video documentary may give you an insight into that. Okay. So, Console Wars, it's only on CBS All Access, but you can sign up for a free trial, watch it, and then cancel your trial if you're like me. So, but anyway, YouTube Punk says season 3 is good, not as good as the first, but getting better. Season 3 of, I guess, Gotcha Man?
Boys.
What?
The Boys.
Oh, no, The Boys is only on season 2.
Oh.
So, but anyway. So I think that gets us to the end here, though, Tim. I don't have anything else on the outline, and it's getting a little late. Hey, at least you don't have to drive home, right?
No, that's true.
So the next live show I mentioned during the actual show will be after the election, which is hard for me to believe. I think we have 5 weeks between these instead of the standard 4, Tim. So it looks like November 5th will be the next live show, and that means we'll possibly know a winner of the election by then. Maybe. Yeah. Not making any promises. But... he says it is The Boys, season 2. He says season 2 is good, not as good as the first. Yeah, it was The Boys he was alluding to, Tim.
Okay.
So, but no, so Halloween for everybody. We hope you have a very happy and safe Halloween. If you are going to go trick-or-treating, wear a mask, wear some gloves, and be careful out there. And, just be safe in everything that you do. If you can support arcades around you, continue to do that. Tim, anything else that you want to remind people before we sign off here? Any other parting words of wisdom from Mr. Arcade Repair Tips?
No, I'm tired. Let's go.
I know you are, Tim. And Tim's been working. Are you still working crazy hours at Dairy Queen?
Yeah, they've been pretty bizarre this week. I'm in 2 different stores this week, too, so... Tomorrow I work 10 to 8 tomorrow. So
yeah. So well, and you see, so it's hard for me and Tim to get together a lot of times. Like you mentioned, when you're off, you're usually off during the week, and I'm off on the weekends. So I mean, lately it's been hard. Tim, I will mention something I mentioned to you that I did have some family come over and play in the arcade, and my Blitz and Showtime unit started to freeze up a little bit. And I think the hard drive is finally starting to go. It's been 20 years. You think the hard drive is probably... What now?
Upgrade. Okay. You're getting the kit for it, aren't you?
I already have the kit. It's sitting on top of the game. So I may actually film a video of me installing it. Wouldn't that be something?
That'd be fun.
And Tim, you mentioned during the show that you picked up the Miss Pac-Man. What you neglected to mention was that you also picked up something else.
Oh, I picked up the anniversary edition cocktail.
Yes, that as well. But you picked up something for the Miss Pac, right?
Oh, I picked up the converting it to a 60-in-1 kit from Mike's Arcade.
Right. So, Tim, we still get questions about people who are looking for that kit from JammaBoards.com, who obviously doesn't sell it anymore. And so we may end up filming a video of the Mike's Arcade kit.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. So and Tim, I mean, you mentioned that the board was busted, and the nice thing about that kit, Tim, is it's non-destructive. So you put the 60-in-1 in there, and then if you want to go back to a Miss Pac, you do, right?
Yeah,
So,
I'm actually going to either repair my board or send it off while I'm got the 60-in-1 in there.
right. So, I mean, it gives you something else to play besides Miss Pac when you want to play it. So, I mean, I have no problems with the kit. I think the kit's a fine idea for people who want to play other games in their Miss Pac besides Miss Pac. Plus, it doesn't destroy the wiring in the cabinet, which is a double bonus for everybody. So, you've got that project going on. Tim, I'm probably going to be modding an arcade one up, so we may end up having some videos at some point. Who knows? So... Oh, where are we with Volume 5? Nowhere. I don't know. Every time we release a video, we're further along technically, but I'm so reluctant to do a Volume 5, Tim. It takes a lot of work to produce a DVD.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of, and I just don't know how many we're gonna sell. I don't want to produce a new Volume 5 and sell 5. So so I'm kind of on the fence about that. So we'll see. I'm not saying no. I'm not saying never. I'm just saying not now. So, is that a good way to say it?
It's COVID's fault.
Blame everything on COVID. Of course, it's COVID's fault. So, but anyway, we probably have enough videos right now to put out a Volume 5. I mean, because usually what we do, 12 on a DVD or whatever it is. Plus, we've shot some bonus videos that haven't made it to YouTube. Plus, Tim, when we start shooting videos for this last DVD, we have extended cuts of everything. That's what people don't know. So like every video that you guys have seen a YouTube upload on since Volume 4, there's an extended cut that actually exists, and some of those I've actually cut, which is crazy. So, yeah, we have extended. So if Volume 5 ever comes out, it's going to be extended cuts everywhere. Everything's going to be an extended cut. It's going to be different than the YouTube cut, which will be fun. But like I said, we'll see if that ever happens, right, Tim? So anyway, hey, I was going to ask you too. Are you in your workshop right now?
Yeah.
I mean, I have some arcade one-ups I can store over there if you just want some games to play.
Yeah, I could probably use one or two.
Okay, so, I mean, because I've got, especially since I picked up that extra one, I've got several now over here. So, I mean, so if you need a game over at your place, do you have any games right now just projects, right?
Just projects right now.
Okay, well, at some point I may bring one over and you can play with it, but... Anyway, here we go. Sega does what Nintendo don't, Tim. That's what Console Wars was all about. So you guys check that out. Tim, I'm getting tired too, so we should probably sign off. I feel like I'm about to go to sleep. Are we that boring? I don't know. But guys, we'll see you after the election, after Halloween, for our Thanksgiving episode on November 5th. And we hope you guys can all come and watch with us then. And until then, thank you again for being here, and we'll see you next time. Good night, everybody. Take care. Be safe. Go vote.